brothers on the rise now. Woo! Endless celebrations all in my house. Yeah. Levitating now, I'm super duper fly now. Yeah. London boy, but DC where I reside now. Put the time in while you always yelling time out. And for quit it, cause I know I'm coming with it. You were sitting, you were wishing I was handling my business. Yeah. Now I got the ball like Harry Potter playing Quidditch. And my business so humongous, you would think that happens in there. Oh man, I'm all that, yeah, I'm all that. Looking for that whip, yeah, that what you call that. I'ma blow up in the summer, have him yelling fall back. And I've always been ahead like an effing ball cap. Man, I came in the game like, whoa. Got a couple chains on me cause I like gold. They told me I'm the best and I told them I know. Cause when I'm in your town, every ticket I sold. Yeah, they saying I'm the man. Facts, bro. Facts, lot of haters. Tell me where they at though. I'm the new pop, all I do is rap though. Yeah. Want me on your song, throw a couple stacks, yo. Woo. Everybody wanna do the same thing. Yup. That's why we ain't on the same page. No. Do my own thing and I maintain. Woo. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. I'm going mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. Yeah, I'm going mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. I'm going mainstream. Mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. Yeah. I'm going mainstream. Damn. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. So I'm going mainstream.
G'day, welcome to the Xbox Infinite podcast. We're gonna fly a show for you today. I've been thrown off because someone was talking during the intro. No, I've only got like, I just woke up, had a curry last night. You know how it is. It's a bit of a rough morning. Welcome to the show. It's gonna be a great show. We got some great guests for you today. We have KY Bob, man. KY Bob, how you doing, man? What have you been up to? Welcome to the show. Yeah, yeah. Awesome, man. Yeah, I look forward to that. Actually, I look forward to seeing what you can do. What's going to come from that? That's going to be awesome. So stay tuned to KY's channel for that. I'm assuming it's on your channel. Awesome. Awesome. Can you go? Oh, hang on a minute. You can't hear Bob. You got no sound. What the hell's going on? Yeah. Give me 2 seconds. No. Let's try that. See, can you guys talk? I haven't got you.
Like a combination of heaven, dust, berry, white.
There we go.
silk.
There we go. I got you. You guys should be able to hear him now, right? Yeah.
Testing.
I hope everybody can hear us.
Yeah, I had some sound issues started the show. It's the curry. I blame the curry. Bob, welcome to the show. How you doing? Just repeat everything you just said.
Doing great. I have been grinding Halo Infinite to try and get Season 1 out of the way before Season 2 gets here. I'm currently at level 92. See, it's looking like I'm going to get it before Season 2 gets here. Yes, I know I can go back and play Season 1, but I'm that clean slate kind of guy. I just want to put it in the review, focus on Season 2, and...
wow.
Yeah, having to say that again.
And Bob, you start a new podcast. That's the go? You're moving away from your affiliate podcast and you're beginning a new podcast on your channel. Have you got a name for it? What's going on?
We're gonna carry the Game Set Live brand, and I appreciate everything that they did for the friendships that were made at XBL Party Podcast, and but really wanting to go into the direction where we have full control over our own brand and start from, build from the ground up and whatnot. So it's exciting, and it's going to be an adventure.
Awesome. And we've also got Dirt Griggity, man. Welcome to the show. Sorry about the sound issues, guys. I do apologize. It was a slight fuck up on my part, and my computer just likes to do things by itself without being told. Welcome to the show, Greg. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for the invite. How everybody doing, man? I appreciate that you guys invited me to the show, and I'm just ready to talk games or bash ponies or whatever you guys want me to do.
Well, normally we don't do that kind of thing, but I feel like this show might be slightly different to the way it normally goes. And the panel, as always, welcome to the show, panel. Jedi, how you doing, man? What have you been up to?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, we had community game night last night. We were playing a bit of Halo, a bit of Halo custom matches. Looking forward to getting into Season 2. Not that long now, guys. Awesome. I still haven't finished Elden Ring. I've been playing a little bit of Halo. Every time I get on, everyone invites me on to play Halo, so I've stayed away from that. But I do want to get out of the way before Season 2 drops. And yeah, looking forward to getting back into Xbox Infinite. Looks like C-Steph is up to his usual moronic tactics in the chat, but all good.
Yeah, he's right, though. But it's all good, C-Steph, because Pete's never actually played Gears, so he shouldn't get upset about that at all. Jack, how you doing, man? Paddle back, how you doing? How's your week? How's things? We'll be getting into some crazy topics in a minute. Go.
Yeah, things are great. It's so good to be back with you guys. It's so good to have these awesome guests, everybody in the chat. I've been playing a couple of things. I got into I bought the Return to Arkham collection for $5. So I've been going through that. Just beat Arkham Asylum, going through City. I just started playing Outriders. I'm doing the campaign with Umbra here. We had a blast doing that, and as you guys know, obviously we've been playing Mountains and heaps of Halo. So I'm having a great time. There's a lot of good stuff coming our way. It's been a little dry for a while, but seems like hopefully it's going to pick up in terms of content release. And just can't wait to chop it up with all you guys here.
That's why we got KY here, man, because it's been a little bit dry. He's gonna lube
It
up.
has been, yeah. Can you loosen it?
You got to do it deeper than that, KY. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna need we're gonna need a full. I think we're gonna need a full bottle.
And on to our last but not least, it's smoothest sounding panel member, Umbra. How you doing, man? How was your week?
I'm good, Risk, man. I'm here with you guys, ready to chop it up. We got my boy Dirt here. We got KY, and not the jelly. Don't get it twisted. And just ready to chop it up with you all and talk some games and things today. Yeah, I started up on Outriders with Jack here, and I'm enjoying it, man. I'm really enjoying it. Level 10 right now.
I need to get back into that, man. I actually played that with my son, and we smashed the whole game. Loved it, but once it was finished, there was no reason to hang around. But they've dropped that DLC, right? So it's a good time to get back in. Is
Absolutely.
it DLC free, or you got to pay for that?
It looks like it comes with the Games Pass subscription.
Yeah, it does.
So,
it does.
The New Horizon. It was like DLC patch type deal.
It's not really DLC, but it's a couple of expeditions, really.
Yeah, they added to the end game sort of as an apology for a lot of the early connection issues and things like that because it was pretty atrocious. So,
what do you think about the expeditions, Jack? I personally didn't think that they were that great as end game content. Once the story was done for me, I was pretty much done with that game.
Yes,
so it's interesting you say that. After the New Horizon update, they completely removed the timed nature, so it's no longer timed, which opened up all kinds of other builds, that weren't necessarily focused on speedrunning, that were more fun, that you could, to get out of these cookie cutter builds. There's a lot of new stuff. I looked at the DLC expansion coming out in late June. I had to pre-order, and it's just so strange being an Xbox player and then being told I have to pay for things. It's an alien experience. So I didn't really know what to do. I clicked the OK button. Really looking forward to it. Umbra and I are going through it. If only, Pete, if only your friend had been trying to get you to play it all morning, maybe you would have been able to partake.
Hey, it was not for me, mate. It was not for me, and I wanted to play what everyone else was playing, seeing it was community game night.
Let's blame Panda for it.
Yeah, I blame Panda. Listening, Panda, this is all your fault. You screwed up my whole experience.
See, I would have been in there, but I was too
I'm
busy.
jumping with you guys today.
I was too busy drinking and eating curries. So we'll move on to one of the topics. It's not a topic that's on the topic list, but what makes an RPG? I don't know if you guys aren't on Twitter. There's been a bit of discourse, and you probably would have seen if you are on YouTube, which you are because you're here. What's his name? Alex. Oh no, it's Alex. Had a bit of an issue with something that one of the community members said. I believe his name's Guapamole, and he basically said that Horizon Forbidden West is an RPG. I'm calling bullshit. There's no way this game is an RPG. It has RPG elements, but if anything, that is an open world action adventure. That's all you got on PlayStation. So don't cry about it. Don't make up genres and try to squeeze your games into it. It is an open world action adventure with RPG elements. Jack, you had something to say on this?
I did, because I played. I didn't beat it yet, and I'm afraid to turn it back on because it's destroying PlayStations. But I will get to it at some point. I was really enjoying it. I think I was like 45 hours or something into it. I really enjoyed it, actually. It's a good game. Is it an RPG? No, absolutely not. And I agree with how you defined it. And I know that Umbra and I were talking about it as well, and I think we're all in sync here. It is a third-person action, adventure, and platformer, right? There's a lot of platforming elements to it with RPG elements. I think to call it an RPG, right, is disingenuous. We all understand Sony's portfolio, their first-party Umbrella's library, is woefully bereft of any RPG. And that's unfortunate because RPGs and first-person shooters where they're extremely lacking, are two of the most popular gaming genres out there, So it's convenient to sort of try to slide this in and pigeonhole it as an RPG. When your competition has the Elder
Convenient.
Scrolls.
It's like trying to stick a fucking square block into a round hole.
It really is, Brisket. That's a perfect analogy because it's not merely going by the conventional definition of an RPG, which I would argue really doesn't exist because we're having this conversation. But the problem is when you say RPG or role-playing game, the way I personally subjectively define it, and any of you gentlemen feel free to chime in, I think that is a rich, narrative-driven experience where you have control over the character, right? We're talking there's skill trees, there's appearances, there's all kinds of things. I'm talking Elder Scrolls. I'm talking Fallout, the Outer Worlds, what Starfield's going to be, Avowed. Games like that, to me, are RPGs. That's what I subjectively define an RPG. I mean, it's like saying, to say that's an RPG.
More, mate.
I mean, it's like saying Grand Theft Auto's a racing simulator because you can jack the occasional Cadillac, Or it's like saying Elder Scrolls is like The Sims because you can buy a house and have a family now. I mean, it's so disingenuous. I think
exactly like Monad said in the chat down there the other day. He said that if you're gonna use progression, character building, and all that sort of stuff as the basis for calling something an RPG, well, shit, Forza's an RPG, right? You do all that shit in Forza, right? You got
The stupid thing
customization.
is Sony have been promoting the fact that they are the king of the third-person over-the-shoulder action game. Now they've moved the goalposts again. I think Hargeet brought it up in Community Game Night last night. The fact is Xbox are absolutely dominant in the RPG genre now. And so basically it's just marketing speak by Sony fanboys again, moving the goalposts again, trying to say they have RPGs when they don't. Xbox has a massive advantage in this area, and they're basically just trying to move the goalposts.
And I don't think any of us. Oh, go for it. I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I don't think any of us want, the PlayStation not to have RPGs. We would love for PlayStation to complain and get RPGs, as opposed to attempt to sort of muddy the water and claim they have it. That does not add content to a lot, to a gaming portfolio. I think they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Hey, can I ask a question?
Right now, go ahead,
Greg.
Oh well, I just want to ask, what do you guys think about games like The Witcher or Assassin's Creed Valhalla? Would you guys consider those games RPGs?
The Witcher, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
that's because it has multiple different endings that you can control. You actually do control how you can build Geralt and all these different types of things. And
what about like Assassin's Creed Valhalla?
I would say yes.
Valhalla, I haven't played it. I haven't played it to say.
I would say that is RPG.
I agree with you.
Most people will say that.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla
Ever since
is
Assassin's
RPG.
Creed, ever since Origins, I think they've definitely added a lot more RPG elements. Would I go so far to classify it as an RPG over an action adventure? No, I still think it's an action adventure with heavy RPG elements in it now.
Yeah, Pete, I think you'll. I think that, at least with Val, and everybody knows I'm a Valhalla stan. I love that game.
Yeah, I
do. Yeah, I think it's the best one. I'll be honest, I really do.
Yeah, so Bob, you were going to say before?
So, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to, reveal my age here, but to me, a role-playing game, in high school, in the cafeteria in the mornings and during lunch, I used to play Dungeons and Dragons with the rest of my friends at a table in the cafeteria. And to me, a role-playing game...
Oh, you old as shit. Now you're right, you go.
Yeah, I'm old as shit. But
you're older than Pete, and he's 73.
With a role-playing game...
He's 76, man. Leave him alone.
In a role-playing game, you have complete control over every aspect of that character. What they're stronger in, weaker in, what they lean towards, their class, their everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you want to go by the technical definition, role-playing game, you are playing the role of this other character. Now, if that character is already defined by the story, which is the playable character that you play as, if that's already defined, then, I mean, you can have some aspects of it, but you can't call it an RPG. I mean,
But
you can
then
call
one-
it you can call it an action adventure game with RPG elements. It's not an RPG because the character is already made for you. Pretty much all you do is you unlock abilities and you gain items to help you in your quest, but you can't really make your character better at this ability than they are at this other ability.
Yeah, exactly. Because you
Or
open up the entire. That was my point. Has been my
Right.
point the whole time. You open up the entire skill tree, and sure, you could do that with Elden Ring once you get to level 700. But you have to lean a certain way. You have to have a character build. You have to make choices that force you to be strong in one area and weak in another, or you make choices that basically make you an all-rounder. That's playing a role. Your character, your game ends up being different to every other person that plays. Like, even just slightly, that is role playing. You're playing a fucking role. I don't understand why it's so hard for these ponies to like understand what role playing means.
If we're gonna go out,
They know,
on a limb
they're
here,
just moving the goalpost, mate.
yeah, like he said, goalpost. If we're gonna go out on a limb here, we're gonna the Xbox has always been the shooter box. The Xbox is the real-time strategy box. The Xbox, with all of their acquisitions, is now the role-playing box. And if we're going to go out on a limb and say that Horizon Forbidden West is a role-playing game, what's next? Is the new God of War going to be a shooter?
Well, here's
Oh, he throws
No,
the
they're
axe, right?
going to claim that that's an RPG as well. That's all.
no,
He
yeah,
throws the
well,
axe.
obviously that is a medieval warfare simulator. I'm actually still kind of hung up on what exactly the role playing box.
Yeah. So
You know what's crazy is Xbox is much more than actually the RPG box now.
yeah.
I mean,
Yes,
they're,
it really
they're
is.
the racing
it's still the
box,
shooter
they're the
box. It's still the racer box.
Hold
Yep.
on, fellas.
It's,
Hey, fellas, you
it's,
got to
it's
mention
the
Western
indie box
RPG
as well. Really,
Right,
It's
the
the
Western
indie
RPG box, to be
Hey, I think
precise.
Griggity's trying to say something right quick.
No, I was just saying, there's so many different categories. You say Xbox is now they're the Western RPG box now, right? Because they're not
True.
the JRPG
It's
box.
really
That's
Yeah,
true.
diverse
RPGs are
box.
not
Really,
RPGs.
it's
Okay,
got
I'm just
the
saying there's so
diverse
many
library
different
in gaming.
variations. This is
Yeah,
an RPG.
yeah,
That's
I mean-
not RPG. It's a Western RPG, Japanese RPG. There's so much different stuff, man.
It was
Well,
considered the dude bro box back in the
So
360 days, but if
so-
you look at the amount of exclusives they had in those 360 days, like Mass Effect, and I think even Assassin's Creed was an exclusive at one stage. Let's go back in the days. They had a lot more than just shooters, but it was because they were so heavily focused on the Xbox Live aspect of games that it was labeled that way. But Xbox has the greatest diverse library of games.
I would say, too,
unequivocally.
just to add to that, and Bushido, he might be correct. My voice had to deepen.
That
for
man
some
is never
strange
right.
reason.
I don't care what you say.
That's true. I agree. He's always always wrong. But I was going to say, he said that you have a very manly voice, KY Bob. I'm not sure where he's going with that, but my voice had to
I hope
deepen.
I do.
Yeah.
I hope I do.
All right, don't challenge me with the deep voice off though, because
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, you will win.
let's
no,
keep,
but seriously
let's
though,
keep it
the
gaming.
whole
Let's
RPG,
not Barry
but the
White
whole
each other.
RPG thing. Right.
Well, can I bring up a question?
I'm trying to get some ladies pregnant with this voice right now. Hold on. So no,
Oh my god, dude, my girl might be within 10 feet. I don't want to.
I apologize ahead of time. No, but seriously, the whole RPG thing is silly, and we know why they're arguing it, because they know that the Xbox is the Western RPG box too. That's
It is.
that's really what it comes down to. And
So
I mean,
true.
why we have this debate? Because ponies cannot handle the truth. That's why
Well-
this keeps coming up, this debate every time.
I think it's fair to debate, because here's the thing. I agree with what Griggity said earlier. I'm going to play devil's advocate here, right? I think it is fair to debate what metrics we're judging, sort of the verbiage that is RPG off of, right? Like, there should be a series. But I think I agree with Griggity, because I think if you look at a game like Valhalla, right? Objectively on the veneer, that's very similar to Horizon Forbidden West. But in Valhalla, you can customize your character's, appearance, and there are actually choices that you make in the game that affect the narrative.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so I think, maybe obviously that's not an Elder Scrolls, it's not a Mass Effect.
But can you make him not an assassin? Can you change his role in the story?
Well, you can't take his job away.
Yeah, we'll see. Look,
I mean,
I did say earlier this week on Twitter that Assassin's Creed is a role playing game. It has a lot more role playing elements, but I'm kind of retracting what I said. That was in the heat of the moment. And we're gonna move on from this topic because it's pretty stupid. Just like you, Nib, fucking stupid. Anyway, moving on.
I would say this just before we move on. If you all are interested, I think Ono Alex had a video up there that he described everything, and Bushido was mentioned into that video, by the way, where he was wrong once again. And but he explains it particularly well.
Well, yeah,
particularly well. If you all watch that video, he breaks it down spectacularly. I don't think there's any debate after you hear him break it down.
No, but there was. That's a fucking problem. That Nib dude even, I'm sorry, I'm going to bring up Nib again. That Nib dude's even arguing the point he was brought up on there. He was light on Bushido, man, but he went all in on Nib, and Nib's still sitting there capping for Horizon Forbidden West. Take your cap off, man. Put it on the table. Grand Transaction is not the game of the year. All right, now moving on.
one's saying that.
Hey, we got love for you, Nib. We got love for you, brother.
I don't have
you
it.
and
I do.
you and Risk our nemesis now.
Yeah, we are arch nemesis, man. Every day, all day. So look, there's the other thing that's going on that's causing a bit of issue back and forth this week is the ads coming into Microsoft. So before we get in this topic, I will just say in the original article about the Microsoft ads, they noted that Microsoft would be doing things like billboards and product placement. They did not say that they would be shutting down the game so that you would stop and read an ad. There was speculation from the person who wrote the article that they might do that and that might happen. But there's no facts there. The fact they're saying that it is a fact they'll be doing product placement. So everyone just fucking untwist your panties. It's all good. They're not shutting the game down to bring you Pepsi, choice of a new generation. Thank you, Pepsi, for that $50.
Right.
So everyone just chill your grill. It's going to be all good. And the other thing is Sony. Now, look, I didn't get a chance. I had a bit of a busy week drinking and eating curries. So I didn't get a chance to look into this whole Sony thing. But from what I understand is that they have reignited or they're starting to ramp up an old copyright for ads within games. I didn't get a chance to read into this too much. Did any of you guys catch up on what the Sony side of advertising in gaming is all about?
No, don't care.
It's very similar. Yeah,
I
very
caught it
similar
a
to
bit.
Xboxes. And they're just bringing back an old patent that was, I think, established, in 2007. So very, very early on. And I think there has just been talk within the industry of bringing more advertising into gaming and making it another way for developers to make money. I don't think that Sony or Microsoft want to make money off it. They just want to give another form or another ability for developers to make more money within games. I'm all for that. As long as it doesn't interfere with my experience in the game, then I really don't think it's a problem.
Yeah, it's all about the implementation. That's what it comes down to.
I think, and Sony has shown that they do it very well. I mean, when they created Death Stranding, a game about a massive supernatural apocalypse, Monster Energy was still a functioning
what was
corporation.
It about? I thought it was about Monster Energy drinks. Man, I'm gonna replay that game.
So obviously, Sony knows how to do it. They put energy drinks in a post-apocalyptic hellscape. So I think if we
how
can
much
at least
people have paid to be in Spider-Man, for instance, we all know how much that companies paid to be on Spider-Man movies. I mean, a shitload of money, basically. Yeah. And if they can get into a billboard on, because Spider-Man is in New York City, so. If you're gonna walk down, Fifth Avenue, you're gonna expect to see
Times Square.
Times Square. You're gonna expect to see billboards there. In that instance, there's absolutely no problem with having advertising in a post-apocalyptic world. If it's in a city, fine. If it's something like Horizon Forbidden West, which is in a
where's the Monster Factory?
Not in a real, not based in real life. I have a problem with it.
In a post-apocalyptic world, So the only factory that survived was the Monster Factory, right? And it's still pumping out monster drinks. Like that's pretty hard to swallow, man.
Yeah,
Like if
that one was weird.
if you're talking about immersion breaking bullshit product placement, that's probably top of the list. That's not me being an expert. Like I was having a good think
that is
about
just
it.
objectively objectively fucking weird.
It is weird, and they took it out for the.
Well,
for the
they could have
remake.
done it like Fallout did it and have the Nuka-Cola factory. That was a big part of Fallout
Yeah.
3. You actually go to the Nuka-Cola factory. It's destroyed, but and overrun with super mutants. But it was still quite well done.
Absolutely, Dirt. What's your thoughts on this whole advertising in gaming?
Well, they were saying they were going to advertise on free-to-play games. I think that's cool, man. Who cares? Like you guys said, as long as it doesn't bother my experience with the game, if it's some stuff in the background or, who cares, man? And I forgot who said it, but I don't think Microsoft or Sony is it's about money with them. I heard Brad Sam say something about this advertising will really benefit the developers,
To crowdsource the development,
exactly.
makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for it, man. I'm not one of them guys that cry and complain about everything like these gamers are nowadays. As long as I can play the game and it doesn't disturb the basis of the game, I don't care, man. If there's a Coca-Cola, billboard in the background, that's realistic, right? If you're playing a racing game, there are billboards, there's billboards everywhere in real life, so I don't care, man.
True.
It's just
Right.
Yeah, if it's like
well
2K,
said, man.
Sports game, stuff like
oh
that.
yeah, sports game everywhere,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Everywhere.
They can add to the experience. If you're Spider-Man, you're swinging around New York, you go to Times Square, and you see an ad for Coca-Cola. I mean, that almost adds to it, right? That's a real thing you would see in Times Square. I think it can be done
Absolutely.
tastefully, but I will disagree on the whole. I'm not fond of the idea of adding advertising to anything, but I've yet to see whether or not, and I think, Riggedy, you made a great point. I've yet to see whether or not that can really have positive effects, like that crowdsourcing financial aspect on the development of a game. So I'm going to
Well,
try
what
not
about
to
this,
judge
Jack?
it.
What
You gotta think
about this,
yes or
Jack?
not.
Would you rather them have advertising in the game, or would you rather games go up to $70?
I was just about to say
Yeah,
that.
so if
I was
that's
just about to say
no,
that.
and that I agree. If that's the I mean, obviously
Depending.
having a PlayStation 5, I'm not a stranger to $70 games.
Shit.
Unfortunately. But if that is the alternative, then I do agree that advertising is the
Yeah.
lesser of
Now,
the two.
how?
I was just
Imagine
about to say
how though. Imagine how. Like, say for instance, if you're playing and all of a sudden when you pause the game, an ad is popping up or something like that, or you're loading to a new area and
I
you see
think they
See,
know not
that
to
would
do
pop
that,
up.
mate.
That
Yeah,
would
if that's
disturb the
like-
experience.
That would
Exactly.
ruin the experience.
That's what I don't
and
want.
gaming is all about immersion. I think they couldn't be that stupid. I mean, we're giving
No,
them a little
yeah.
bit of leeway
Yeah, I
here.
know, right?
We're giving them a little bit of rope. Hopefully, they don't hang themselves with that rope. Hopefully, they do it in the right way, because you're definitely right, Umbra. It can be done in the wrong way. If
Absolutely.
at all it takes away anything to do with the experience or anything to do with the immersion, then obviously I'm totally against it.
So, Bob, what do you think, Bob? I want to go to you, Bob, because you haven't had your piece on this. And I will say, the great Garth from Wayne's World said, it's like no one ever does anything without getting paid, and that's just sad. Right, moving on.
I sure don't.
I will start off by saying, so Jack, you enjoy Xbox?
What? No, of course not. No, I don't enjoy that welfare gaming game pit. No.
Well, because Xbox has been advertising on their dashboard since 2013, and
absolutely true.
Right, but
It does-
I don't
it
play
doesn't bother
the
any of
dashboard.
us.
No, I know that.
Right.
So here's what we're worried about, right? And I think Pete and Griggity are right on this, and I agree, because if this were to happen, you would have to be like Enron level fucking stupid as a corporation. But so what I'm worried about is this, like, only in worst case scenario. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think this is the concern. Let's say, because me and Umbra are playing Outriders, right? Let's say we're playing a game, we're killing aliens or fucking Nazis or whatever it is, right? And then all of a sudden, in the middle of the game, I get a little thing telling me I got 30 seconds, and they want to talk to me about Clash of Clans.
That's never gonna happen.
I know. Well,
That's
I know.
never gonna
It's
happen.
very unlikely, but
What
we're
I
free to
s-
play. I'm just saying
what I
it is a
s-
concern.
Yeah, what I see happening is, okay, the world that we live in, we are all numb to advertisements. We are
Correct.
bombarded with it all day, every day. And if it's part of a game, then none of us will ever look twice at it. If it's part of a load screen, no, I mean, unless it's a new game that I'm playing and the game that has the tips during the load screen,
But
that's
just
the only time I ever pay attention to them. I don't care. You could put Pornhub, you could put Pepsi, you could put Monster Energy up during the load screen. I don't care.
Pornhub would be
You
a
would
good
pay
one for the
attention.
PlayStation fans.
I guarantee you'd pay attention if they put Pornhub up on the load screens. 110%. You would be paying attention. Oh, go back to what Jack said. A company would have to be end level stupid to interrupt a game with advertising.
Enron level stupid.
Yeah, yeah. But that's what I've been saying this all week, man. Like, there's no world in which we live, no reality in which we live, where these companies aren't going to think about this and go, "What's this? This is for our bottom line. We don't want it to hurt our bottom line." And the thing that's going to hurt their bottom line, I guarantee you, they do this in a game and interrupt a game with advertising. That game gets boycotted. Like, it doesn't sell, and it costs them money, and they know that, man. They're not stupid.
I do really think that it's a 80% possibility we're going to see these advertisements during load screens, because that's just a GIF. It's a still frame. It doesn't break the experience of the game, but it is something that you will look at during the load portions, and that's possibly what you're going to see during every load screen on a free-to-play game or something that's on Game Pass that you didn't have to fork out the $60 to get.
But that's still bad. I got it, but Bob,
I don't like that, Bob.
Because
The
thing with
there
that,
are a lot less load screens. Sorry, Gio,
load
you go.
screens-
But everything loads faster nowadays. I wouldn't
exactly,
care.
they load.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
You would have to basically say, we understand we're an next-gen console, and we predicate a lot of this upon no load screens. But for the next 27 seconds, you're going to watch Pepsi.
Jack,
No,
can you describe to me the load screen in Halo Infinite?
Yes, I can describe to you the load screen in Halo Infinite.
Do you really
Are you
care
talking
about
about
it?
Well, I mean,
I care that it's been the same one all this time since launch.
Yeah, it's wrecking.
I wish they
Would it really
changed it.
make that big a difference if it wasn't?
It would put it if the load.
something?
If they put an advertisement in Halo, I would absolutely not like that. If they
If it
put that
goes
in the
up-
load screen, I'll be like, what the hell is Pepsi doing in the futuristic title? Like, I would be like,
Don't make
I'll
No,
be
no,
upset.
but it's the choice of a new
Exactly,
generation,
yep.
so it fits in Halo perfectly. It's like a new generation. You're in.
Just choice of a generation.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like Back to the Future, man. Was it two? Like when we had the Pepsi in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the problem is that if the load screen, let's say we go to the load screen and then it's 20 seconds, right? From that load screen to where they do a panoramic view of all our Spartans, and then it goes into our helmets, and then we go kill shit, right? Let's say that's 20 seconds. No one's going to buy a 20-second. They're going to want 35, 40. I mean, we're talking theoretically about doubling that. Studies show that for advertising to be effective, for a lot of it, you need to be inundated with it for up to 60 seconds, at various intervals.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
not-
and that's
but
That was
but not
true. We
consecutive.
wouldn't see 30-second commercials during the Super Bowl going for $1 million.
30 seconds. Well,
Yeah.
that's a book, but that's booked. I'm talking about it's called the aisle phenomenon, right? So if you've ever taken like a psychology lecture or anything, right? When you go into a grocery store,
Oh,
right?
shit. There
Going-
we go.
Right facing and all that type of stuff.
But this is what they're gonna do. They stick things like the milk and the bread and the eggs all the way in the back, so you got to pass by all the dumb shit to get there. So that, and they do. Any grocery store, go to any
Is
grocery store.
that why I'm fat? This is bullshit. Who do I sue about
No,
this, right? You guys know.
because-
You guys sue people a lot. This is America, right? Where do I
The
sue someone?
reason, the real reason why, and I've worked at a grocery store. I worked in a grocery store for 4 years when I was a teenager. The real reason why all of the refrigerated meat and milk and everything is in the back of the store has nothing to do with that. It is because of the large refrigeration units that have to keep that large section. We're not talking about an end cap.
That's not
No,
true,
it's-
Bob. That is
Right.
all designed
Right.
like that through
Yeah, it's
like
all
that.
designed.
Actually, yep, it's
Not
all
like
done
that
by
in the late
science and
50s in this
psychology.
country.
Yep,
Yep.
it's done all by science and psychology. The reason why they do it is exactly what Jack said. They put it there so they put your essentials basically in front, right at the back, so you have to go past everything else to get to it. And they put a lot of kids' stuff that kids will want to get in between those things as well. So when they're going shopping with mum and dad can't get past the candy or the toys before they can get to their milk. It is all done through psychology.
What's a
I
candy?
agree.
What's a candy?
What's a candy thing?
I don't eat candy.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Well,
You all don't have candies out there?
You mean lollies?
Yeah, but
you talk about lollies.
You all have-
I got you.
no,
I got you.
You all have killer koalas out there, but no candy.
Different type of candy.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to get too much into the psychology of advertising, but I think we can all agree if it's done right, it's going to be fine. Everyone, untwist your fucking knickers. It's all good. But I will say one more thing.
Panties, mate, panties.
I will say one more thing. If you go to Coles or Woolies,
Yeah, Jedi.
they actually have the fruit and veg like at the front of the store. So yeah, you know what I'm saying?
We don't even. What are those stores? Kohl's here is like a divorced housewife like retail outlet.
Right. So it's like a grocery store.
Supermarket.
Like a grocery store. Yeah.
Supermarket, yeah, gross.
It's all about the implementation. I think we can all agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Let's move on. So this is the segment where we scream at Dirt Griggity, and we scream at Bob for a bit. We tell them that we don't care about their opinions, and we
Correct.
don't respect them. We just want to keep current and relevant in the podcast space. So guys, I'm about to scream at you. I apologize in advance. Nah, this is ridiculous. I don't know if you guys saw this. If you're on Twitter, these absolute donkeys screaming at David Jaffe. Because he referred to God of War as a DLC. He didn't say it was DLC. He said, and I quote, "It feels like DLC," and he was talking about what they've shown of the game. And like, if you have half a brain, you can kind of get where he's coming from. Yeah, and of course you would. They're reusing animations. They're reusing assets from the game. And you would, man. You've built an amazing game with amazing animations, with amazing assets. You don't need to redo those animations and assets, and you can put your focus on other animations and other assets that you can add into the game to make the game more filled, more bigger, better than it was. And that just makes sense.
I
man.
know God of War's your favorite game, pretty much of all time. Risk it. Why would it's up there for me too, mate. Why would they change a formula that is amazing? I understand where he's coming from. It is like DLC, but he didn't say that was a bad thing at all.
No, I don't think it's a bad thing. Yeah, you go.
Don't forget that Ragnarok was supposed to be DLC in the first place, and it just got too large for its britches.
Well, here's the other
So
thing.
yes, of course.
Here's that
It's
other
gonna be the
discourse
same.
with you saying that. There's a lot of denial of that happening, and I've had a few conversations about this, about whether it is based on the DLC. And you can make that assumption that it is. Corey did say his exact words were, it can now be its own thing, right? But they weren't even in the pre-planning stage. He was just throwing around ideas. So yeah, if you want to say that it's not based on the DLC, that's fine. But there's no world in which we live where they didn't take some of Corey's ideas, because he's not specifically working on that game, he's working on another title. But there's no reality in which they didn't take some of Corey's ideas for that DLC and
Right.
bring it into the game. We don't know how much of those ideas they use, and we don't know how little. So you can't say, look, I agree with you, KY, 110%, but we can't factually, you can't say, this is kind of where I came to on this, we can't factually say that they definitely have used some of the DLC or that they haven't. So
What we can say for sure is what David Jaffe said was not offensive in any way. And that's why everybody mocked the ponies who got upset by it, because what his man said was pretty innocuous in my opinion. He basically just said, okay, if you think it's DLC, how is that a bad thing if it's more of the same of what the 2018 game was, which was the game of the year? So why
It's not
was
as
anybody mad
impactful
at that?
as it was back then?
I can tell you
But
about
we
it.
all know what we're getting, and we all know we're going to get a great game.
Dirk, go after Jedi, because I want to hear your take on this too, brother.
Well, I
It's like
think it's-
that. No one wants to hear what you want to say, mate. To be honestly, mate, all your opinions are absolute
everybody's
bullshit.
screaming
You're
at
basically
we
just
don't
like,
respect-
mate, I don't-
talk to yourself. Keep my console's name out your mouth. No, you're right. You got it.
My motherfucking DLC out your fucking mouth.
Don't even mention the word DLC, in fact.
Right.
So I do want to say something about this that I
Bob,
don't
before
think
before you go, Bob, I want to hear dirt on that really quick.
I just want everybody else to give their opinions, and then I'll bring up the thing that hasn't been talked about that I would like to bring up.
Awesome.
So go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say that these guys are guys I dealt with before. I mentioned it in the pre-show. I dealt with it before. This guy that went off on David Jaffe, he actually, like, we was in court. He cross-examined me one time. I was on that exact show, and he kind of said to me, "How can you be an Xbox fan?" And I said, "What?" And he was like, "How can you crack jokes about PlayStation fanboys? You're an Xbox fan. How can you sit there and crack jokes about PlayStation? You're an Xbox fan." There's an entitlement with these guys, right? After last generation, where, you know me, I'm a diehard Xbox fan, but I will be the first to admit that the Xbox One generation, in my opinion, was underwhelming, right? They did some things, wrong.
Absolutely.
I'm just being honest. So because of that, the arrogance of some of those guys, they really became arrogant. They feel Sony can do no wrong. They feel that Sony does no wrong. So how dare you criticize anything PlayStation?
Yep, that's their mentality.
So when you criticize them, now remember, these are some of the same guys that got pissed. Now, this is not the first time this guy went off like this. He got pissed when Halo Infinite was getting good review scores. So how dare Xbox get some good positive news, and how dare you criticize PlayStation? So that's their mentality. You cannot criticize PlayStation. They feel PlayStation is flawless. And
didn't that same guy also call Forza Horizon 5
DLC?
DLC as well?
He called that DLC called Gears 5 DLC also. So I'm just telling you, man, these guys are just crazy. They're crazy.
I agree, but I think the interesting thing is, if someone came up to any of us, right? Gears 5 was amazing. We all loved it. It was a great game. If someone came up and Gears 6 was coming out and someone's like, yeah, it kind of feels like DLC. It's a lot like, I think we would be like, oh, thank God, Gears 5 was great. That means Gears 6 is going to be great. I think our interpretation would be different. I don't think that's, he didn't say it was, he said it felt like DLC, a continuation of this, and that's fine. If what preceded it, what came prior, was objectively and empirically of high quality, I don't understand why anybody would take umbrage to that. I would think if someone told me Gears 6 was like, would feel so contiguous as to be DLC to Gears 5. I know Pete's a huge Gears fan. Me and Pete would be like, oh, thank God. Okay, that's good. They're doing something right. So I think a lot of it is, and again, I've said this before, there is a fundamental shift, and I say this as someone that was a big PlayStation gamer, and frankly no longer am, even though I own the console. There is a fundamental shift in the psychology of the PlayStation fan base, and it's very simple. You started saying it, right, with the ZeniMax Bethesda acquisition, which, Griggity, I've watched your podcast, I've seen what you've said about that, and I agree with you 100% on everything you said about that. I think once that happened, everything shifted. You're 100% right. Last generation, Xbox got curb stomped. That's why I played PlayStation. It did. No, 100%, right? We're not
the first one to admit it, bro.
I agree. Right. No, I've always found you to be very, very genuine. So I think you're right. The problem with the PlayStation community is this, right? Nobody talks about this, but this is saliently the case. After the ZeniMax Bethesda acquisition, it became very evident, right, that this was a new generation, and that Microsoft, being the financial fucking titan that it is, right, was going to bring its assets to bear, where it could not conceivably be challenged in any way, shape, or form. That is a $2.4 trillion economy. It is 18 times the size of Sony's market cap. And it came into the ring with its gloves on, ready to use everything it had. And I think when the PlayStation community started to sort of see how limitless the depths of those coffers were and what could be done, fear and resentment sank in, right? Because when you sit on the throne long enough, you're so used to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and so there is this sort of psychosis within that community, and I know it, and it's palpable.
It's an entitlement, sure. Like
they resent it because the horse they back simply isn't as big. It's not as big. It's just it can't do what the other one can do, and there's no way for that to happen overnight. It would have to multiply its market cap almost 20 times. That's never going to happen. And there's nervousness and there's fear, and that turns into resentment, and then resentment turns into just ass clownery. I mean, just rabid dumb fuckery.
So
And
basically,
with-
you're saying that ponies are the dark side.
Not that, but no, they're more like the Joker. They just lost their motherfucking minds. They don't know where to. They
Well,
do.
I'll ask this. What
Sure.
what sequel isn't DLC in that way? I mean, really.
Miles Morales.
Assassin's
Miles
Creed
Morales.
Brotherhood.
Absolutely,
Right.
Miles Morales.
Assassin's Creed Brotherhood was DLC, and that was amazing.
True, it sure
That
was.
was-
I love Brotherhood. One of my
Brotherhood
favorites in
was
the
a great
series.
game. Yeah, it
And
was
let me ask you
amazing.
guys a question. How long have you? I mean, like, when did you guys discover this community that we're in currently?
The gaming community or the
No, this our community that we're in on Twitter. You know, this community that we're in right now. It's
Recently
I guess
for
it's
me,
the gaming,
about a year and a half.
gaming community, but
Yeah.
you know, like the people we interact with. You know, our community
I
that we're in.
I discovered this Xbox community on Twitter and on YouTube during the Xbox One generation, because it was during the Xbox One generation that we all kind of looked for support and camaraderie for the brand that we all loved, and we weren't happy about the way it was going.
Right.
And it was
So
nice to
true,
have
mate.
people that felt the same way you did and could help you be critical of that brand you loved, and you still knew that you were in it thick and thin, but you could let your feelings out. That Xbox One for me.
And it wasn't just
Okay.
it wasn't just an open slander on Xbox. I was the same. I went under a different monicum or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Nom de guerre.
I had a different name, but I've been in this community for a long time, sneakily. I've only come to the forefront during the Xbox One X. I started to kind of come to the forefront. But
Before you go, before you move to another thing,
I'm not going to move.
Bob
I'm
has
not going to move. I'm
something
just
to
going to say.
Okay.
I'm just going to say there is a small group in our now Xbox community that is starting to sound very much like the ponies of last generation. And if you're out there listening, man, like, stop that shit. Like, we are not them. We are not the same. I got told the other day that we just are false outrage. We never call Xbox out, and that's probably. That's probably true of some of the Xbox guys in the community, but it's never been me.
There's always blind
That's
fanboys.
not us.
Yeah.
There's
I mean,
always
we've been.
blind fanboys.
Of course, any community's going to have. Any community's going to have shitheads, right? That's just the nature of the human spectrum, right? It's personality. There's a
absolutely.
thousand. It doesn't matter what it is. You're going to have garden variety shitheads. I think a lot of the reason that I like Xbox, it's not just the fact that I find it objectively to be a better gaming experience. I enjoy, because I was not used to this when I play PlayStation. I enjoy being a part of the Xbox community. I mean, it's things that simple things like. When I first got into this, because I've not been on Twitter that long, one day I go into my inbox and I see this guy, Risk It for the Biscuit. And I'm like, oh, I wonder who this guy is. So I take a little DM, hey, you want to come on the show? And I go through it and I see what he's saying. I dig a lot of it. So I'm like, all right, cool, I want to do this. And ever since then, right, being on the show and being with these guys, I've been able... there was never any community game night when I played PlayStation. We never had that. There was no Game Pass. It wasn't like, hey, this game's on Game Pass. Let's check that. Just being a part of the Xbox community for me, having been a part of PlayStation community, it's just rewarding because there's so many. It's so much more multifaceted. Every day I get on the Xbox, and what am I doing? I'm playing with people in Australia and New Zealand and Canada. I'm playing with a guy in Chicago and another guy in Philadelphia. It's such a great experience to be able to interact. I never had that on PlayStation.
Chicago's better than Philly, by the way. I just want to throw that out there.
I hear Hell's Half Acre better than Philly, but it's just so much. It's different. It feels different.
I do want to move forward. We'll go to Umbra. We'll go to Umbra quickly because I know that you wanted to say something before we do move forward from the. Stop the cap. Just stop the cap.
Bob actually had something to say on it, but I was just going to say this.
Yeah, Bob, yeah.
I agree 100% with Jack on that, and really what it comes down to is that, and I got into this much before, like I say, the Xbox One Gen 2. Like I saw Twitter, I just wasn't really a big part of it. I was more on a Game Facts and other sites. But I was going to say, as far as the community, Xbox is better. And I say that simply because we, like, on a multifaceted part, like Jack pointed out, but we celebrate games here together. We come together and we celebrate each other. Look how we come together and talk on these shows and things like that versus how PlayStation guys typically come together. When they come together, it's to talk negative about Xbox. When we come together, it's to talk about Xbox. So we all talking
Thank
about
you.
Xbox.
Yeah, preach it, tell it upon the mountain. Let everybody
It's,
know.
it's very
Xbox-
weird, and I've always asked them that in these spaces and such. Like, you all have a very unhealthy hate going on for Xbox. It just doesn't make sense. It's unnatural, you know. And I tell these guys that, and they don't listen to me because the heels are clicking and clopping all over the place, so they're not listening to me.
It's because
and they have echo chambers.
it's because they got no games, so they play Twitter. But Bob will.
Sorry, Risket. I just wanted to add. So Ripe Green and Gold asked me if there's going to be any more Gears 5 updates, and I'm not actually sure. I got on yesterday, and there was like 25 new Horde maps because I haven't played Horde for so long. I was amazed to see how many there were added. But are there going to be any more seasons to Gears 5 so we can answer his question correctly? I
won't
thought
be.
there wasn't.
No, there's
Yeah.
not.
There won't be. No, they said already it wouldn't be.
Yeah, I think they clarified that. Umbra's right.
Yeah.
That-
There you go,
know,
Ripe Green and Gold, mate.
And that's why we've had such the upheaval on Halo Infinite, because Gears has continuously given to the community. State of Decay has continuously given to the community. And 343 is just like, you've got this huge vault of maps. Can we at least just get a map each month? What the F?
Yeah. Well,
The
look-
amount of
yeah.
maps that I found in Gears 5 Horde mode yesterday was outrageous. I mean, there's so much content there. I know a lot of people were complaining about the prices of the cosmetics in Gears 5, and I do tend to agree with that. I think the cosmetics in Gears 5 are way too expensive. But when you look at the amount of content they're also giving you, I think you have to pay for that, somehow. And I suppose the way they're paying for it is through cosmetics. I wish they were a little bit cheaper. I would have purchased more if they were cheaper. But yeah, just the amount of Horde modes that they've added, the amount of Horde maps they've added, not to mention Hive Busters, which was
that was great.
I mean, just amazing.
This is a little off,
DLC.
I still have
and
to
this
play
is
that,
a
by the
little
way.
off topic, but I do want to shout it out to the community because I know everybody feels the same way that I do. I have so many fond memories of playing Blood Gulch and
Yeah.
and the series Red versus Blue, making Blood
yeah.
Gulch iconic. If you were to give us an updated rendition of Blood Gulch in Infinite, dude, I honestly, I could tell you that I will stop complaining about Halo Infinite for the rest of the year.
You know, it's
That's
funny
so
you say
true.
that. Me and Umbra were just saying that the other day while playing Halo. We were just saying we wanted Blood Gulch back.
So literally, I think 2 shows back or a show back, I was saying exactly the same thing on this podcast. They have so many great maps in the vault.
Legacy.
It's not going to take. It wouldn't take that much for them to pull them out. Basically, give them a reskin. They'll need an update because we got a grapple hook. Yep, but it's not a standard. You don't run around with the grapple hook all the time. But just a slight update to the maps, and you can put them out. I don't understand why that's so difficult. I've probably been one of the hardest on Halo of probably anyone in the community, especially when they released that article taking shots at their fans. Like, that really pissed me off. Like, we are holding this game up at the moment. I'm not going to get into it again because I'll probably just get angry about it. But like, it's not. I don't think it's hard what we're asking for. I don't think we're asking for too much. And this goes to the Xbox community. Like, there's a lot of people on Twitter saying, "Oh, Halo community's toxic." We're not toxic. We're just asking for better, and we want answers. And they have finally given us a roadmap, which I've been complaining about since the middle of season 1. Like, where's the roadmap? You promised us a roadmap. Where's this roadmap? So we do have it.
You know,
Well, they just released it today, Risket.
Yeah.
They just released the roadmap. Unfortunately, Season 2 is going to go for 6 months. It's not going to end until November 3rd. It's going to go, November 6th. It's going to go all the way from May 3rd to November 6th. So another 6-month roadmap, which is incredibly, incredibly disappointing. But the upside to that is they said that there will be a Forge beta dropping within Season 2. So they'll be doing a flight and they'll be inviting a lot more people to be involved in that flight. So hopefully we can give some feedback to 343 and make Forge as good as it can be, because I really think that Forge can save Halo. But, so yes, we do finally have a roadmap. We are getting new content, and I know we're going to talk about that now, but yeah.
Yeah,
mate.
yeah, look,
I would have rather seen co-op come before Forge.
Yeah, look, it is
Really.
it is
Still
one of the
no date on that, mate.
it is one of the topics that we're going to go into, and seeing as we're on it, we may as well get on the topic. But before we do get on the topic, I'll just read out what we've actually got coming for Season 2 and what is in the roadmap for Season 3. So you get 2 new maps. You've got, this is Season 2, you've got King of the Hill, Land Grab, and Last Spartan Standing, which look amazing. There is a deep dive, or not a deep dive, a shallow dive into the maps on YouTube, on the Xbox channel. Go and check that out. And there's heaps of content that Halo creators have made about those maps, so go and check that out. There's obviously new cosmetics in the Interference Alpha Pack. There's a new 100 tier Battle Pass, which is supposed to be updated and upgraded. So not, basically, the last Battle Pass was rubbish. Absolute shit. Maybe the last 3 or 4 things were good, but that was it. So they've heard us on that, and they're apparently updating that and making it a worthwhile map, as well as some of the free Battle Pass things are apparently supposed to be being updated as well. Fracture has a new mode, I believe, Entrenched, or a new timed event, which is Entrenched. And there is, it says, a late August thing, there's campaign network co-op. So they are introducing co-op in the back end of Season 2. So that's pretty interesting. They've got a couple of things that I'm not 110% sure what it is. So they've got campaign mission replay. I don't know exactly what that is. There's probably a new game.
Because at
plus.
the moment you can't. Yeah, at the moment you have to start a brand new game. Basically,
That's right. Yeah, gotcha.
To go back and get the skulls and stuff. So that's just absolutely ridiculous.
It is. It is. Forge Open. There's Forge Open Beta, which Pete says they're talking about a September target for that. There's quality of life improvements, which is a lot of them are needed. I know Pete constantly punches.
Especially the cheating.
Pete constantly
Cheating is getting
people.
out of control at the moment.
Yeah, it is out of control.
Somebody asked a good question.
Actually posted that on.
Doobie pointed out something. He said, "What would have made more sense, them to come for co-op or Forge first, in you guys' opinion?"
Forge.
Look,
I
I was one of the people that was saying delay Halo for co-op. My gaming has changed recently, where I've definitely leaned more towards the PvP aspect of gaming. I've had so much fun playing PvP with Halo, and I think adding Forge in will have a lot more replayability than co-op. So I would have actually said, if for every other Halo game, I pretty would have said co-op, but for this one, I think I'm going to go with Forge, mate. I think that will really open up the community to a lot more content, and it'll go a lot I think it would
definitely bring back Halo's multiplayer and bring some people back into the game. But before we go on and talk about this, let me just go through quickly Season 3, what they're promising for Season 3. So obviously new Battle Pass, they'll have new maps, we don't know how many, new modes, we don't know how many. New sandbox items, which says to me they are going to be working on the campaign and adding things to the campaign, so that's pretty exciting. New narrative events, again, that's sounds like they're adding things to the campaign, so that's amazing.
That's not the campaign; it's narrative for the multiplayer. So we got that first little story bit where I forget her name.
Oh yeah.
All right, gotcha.
Yeah,
Cool.
The lady gets saved by the Spartans, and then later on she becomes the leader. So they'll be adding more to that. There's meant to be 2 cutscenes that they're adding that is going to go into that a little bit more in depth, and it's going to be adding a little bit of layers to the multiplayer.
Cool. So they'll have new narrative events, new Fracture events, the Forge Open Beta, quality of life improvements, and campaign split screen co-op will be coming in Season 3. I don't care about split screen personally. Network co-op should be the thing they're working on, and they are in Season 2. Fantastic. So let's go. Let's talk about Halo. We're jumping topics. Let's do this. So look, let's talk about what we think of this roadmap. And I'll go to Pete.
I'll start it off by just saying that I'm
By the way,
incredibly disappointed that
Her
it's
name
going
is
to be 6
Commander
months.
Agrina.
Yeah, Commander Green. I'm incredibly disappointed that it's going to be going for 6 months. I mean, I can't hide that fact. I can't hide that disappointment.
That is
I
bad.
really, and I thought, I said it last week that I thought it was going to be the case when they just were asked that question straight out numerous times and they flat out refused to answer it. It was just a sure sign that it was always going to be. In saying that, now that we have confirmation of that, it's incredibly disappointing. In saying that, there's a lot of good coming to Season 2 as well. Not like I thought we were only going to be getting Land Grab, King of the Hill, and Last Spartan Standing, but we're getting more than that. So Land Grab is going to be coming a month later. It's going to be coming in an event, so it's not going to be there day one. But King of the Hill and Last Spartan Standing will be there day one. And I believe Attrition will be there day one also. And then after that, they'll be adding youth variants as well. A couple of them that we play a lot of in community game night is rockets with unlimited ammo with repulsors. That sounds awesome. Another one is unlimited ammo with energy swords and grapple hooks. That sounds awesome as well. And they're pretty much two of our go-tos for community game night. True. So I'm glad they're coming in to the playlist as well. There's another one called Vampirism or Vampire Ball or something along those lines.
Vampire Ball.
It's oddball, but the skull, it hits with the skull, one hit kills, and you also get 50% shields back.
If you kill with you.
When you get a kill with the shield, so you have vampirism on their shields, and if you have full shields, when you get a kill with the oddball, you do get an overshield on top of your shield. So these will mix up the game styles and the gameplay of Halo. I think it'll add a lot, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to jumping in and playing these maps.
Absolutely. Attrition should have been there all throughout the Season 1. They've got the mode. It's one of my other bugbears is you've got the mode, you've produced the mode, you've released the mode, and then you take it away. That's just dumbass bullshit crap. Gregory, you a Halo fan? I don't actually know if you're big into Halo. How do you feel about Season 2?
I want to say I'm a huge Halo guy. I mean, I play it. Well, I haven't played it in a while, but I will get back on it. I think it's cool. I guess I see some people upset with the length of the season. But I'm just like, yo, man, this is the gas, of course, game as a service. They're dropping content. They're dropping new modes. I mean, it's fine for me. I mean, like I'm not a huge Halo guy. I'm somewhat of a, I love the campaign. I played the multiplayer here and there, but I'm not a huge Halo guy. So I think it's fine, man. They're going to keep on dropping content on this game for obvious reasons. And, people, not everybody's going to be happy with what they do. Some people will I just read somebody said, I hate 343. I'm like, damn. But, it is what it is. But I'm looking forward to playing some of the new modes. And yeah, that's about it, man.
So I just want to add, people that hate 343, I'm sure you all remember the state that Master Chief Collection was in when it was Bungie. Yeah. 343 saved collection is amazing. Now, why the disconnect between what we're getting in Master Chief Collection and what we're getting in Infinite? I don't understand that, but we do have we have the legacy in Master Chief Collection. As good as it is, as stable as it is, we do have that because of 343. So I don't think you can.
It took them 4 years to get there, but KY, but
what?
It took them 4 years to get there, to get it to that state.
Sure. But they got there. I think what KY's saying is, you know me, everybody on this podcast knows I am the least forgiving with delays, particularly with first-party endeavors. So, me and Pete were just talking about it on Xbox. If Redfall gets delayed, I'm gonna skewer the living shit out of Microsoft and Arcane. I'm gonna do it. That's not for me. I find that unacceptable. First party titles, right? When you have the logistical backing of a company that fluctuates between being the second largest and the largest publicly traded corporate entity in the history of man on the planet, yeah, I find that harder to excuse. So I'm not a fan of delays, but I do think, and I think Pete, you're right. I think Bob, you're also right. We did get it. Ultimately, I mean, I think we can all agree the Master Chief Collection was nothing short of a triumph. It was amazing. It was great. We all played it for 2-3 weeks, beating every single one of them games with our boys.
Exactly.
On legendary difficulty, you know, where one guy.
It was great. So great.
Like, well, even when you're the one guy that's got to hide in a hallway so the other ones can respawn.
Dude,
you know, like,
dude,
that's how you do it. Like,
I have so many memories
Brings
from
back memories,
playing.
man. Yeah.
From playing that mode where, okay, is it my turn to hide in the background so that when we die, we don't start over?
Yeah. Who plays Anchor Bitch? Yeah, I know. But even then, that normally would be...
I love it, Anchor Bitch.
Yeah, that's what we call it. I don't know what you guys call it, but fucking...
Anchor Bitch is great. I'm going to use that if you don't mind.
Whoever's the shittiest shot on the team waits in the hallway. If you want to fight, if you want to play, you got to get good. That's the rules. Like,
Yeah,
Halo
that's
players
usually...
understand
That was usually Pete for us. He'd hide in the hallway because he can't eat shit. That's terrible.
Heidi Hope.
I think C-Steph brought out a great point. I don't hate 343 either. I think that they shouldn't be held responsible for the failure of management, which is, you know, our go-to, Bonnie Ross.
Bonnie Ross.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. How many times on the show have we said that Bonnie Ross has basically gotten through this unscathed and she shouldn't have? There's other people that took the rap for her, other people that left because they probably got sick of taking the rap for her, man. It's
And look, now Joe Staten's getting that blame now as well, because this is going to go for 6 months as well. It always seems to be somebody else that takes responsibility for the failings. And I mean, when is that leeway for her going to run out? When is that line that I think was crossed years ago going to eventually fall on her?
Yeah. Well, look, this is still the hangover, right? From the 6 years of bullshit that Bonnie Ross is putting that studio through, where she couldn't direct the studio to where they needed to be. I mean, look at the pop-in. I mean, I thought it was when Halo released its campaign, I just had the Series S, and I thought, all right, maybe it's a Series S. But you release a game with that crazy amount of pop-in. It was on the Series X too, with a crazy amount of pop-in like that. That's unacceptable, man. It's unacceptable. You can't. These ponies will use it all the time against us, and that's fine. But they're actually right. Like, you shouldn't be flying around and have half the map pop in every time you move up a grid. Like, that's just unacceptable. There's things in that game that just.
I would say this. On the whole delay thing. I feel like I agree with what you're saying, Jack, and you're right. They have no excuse if they're this super mega conglomerate to have all this continuously happened with them, right? But I think that points to a management issue, like we all agree. I don't think there's any debate about that anymore. But what I will say is this: I would rather a game gets delayed and comes out proper than come out early and come out wrong.
Absolutely.
So I only disagree slightly with that, just because I'd rather them delayed and come out right.
Well, I wanted to let our audience know that we're also getting Rumble Pit Day 1. So there's a lot of free-for-all changes happening, and they're not my favourite maps because I prefer to play with my mates, but we're also getting Rumble Pit, and then after that we're getting rotations of Social Skirmish, Social Slayer, Team Snipers, which I know Boba is a big fan of, Team Doubles, and more. And yeah, like I said, the variants
let me ask you, Jedi,
are also going to be there as well.
Do you think that's enough to carry us over for 6 months? Because I don't.
No, it's not.
I don't. I think we're
I agree.
especially once the battle pass is going to be done. I think we're going to be in the same situation again. Unfortunately, hopefully the flight for Forge can come. Sooner rather than later.
Put it this way. Let me put it this way. We got the full game with a campaign and the multiplayer. Well, you call it full game, but we got the game release, the multiplayer, and this has not carried us over for 6 months. We are getting an extremely a lot less. like a lot less for season 2, and there's no way in hell that can carry a community over. The only thing that can save it is if they get that Forge up and running as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I love
Whatever-
the emotes.
whatever's
I
on
love
that.
I love the tactical nature of land grab of Last Man, King of the Hill. They're the maps. They're the games that I like to play. But we need more maps. We have played these maps like, we're getting 2 maps for goodness sakes. One BTB map and one normal arena map. It's just not enough. In saying that, I'm really, really looking forward to it, but I can see myself getting sick of it, after I've done the battle pass. And another thing is, yes, they're changing what type of events they're having, but the events are still going to run the same way, and what you get from the events it's just not good enough. I mean, the whole Tenerai event went for 6 weeks. I know they weren't consecutive weeks, but I finished that event within the first 2.5 weeks, and so, the next 4 times that they had it on, it was pointless for me, and I don't like Fiesta, I don't like Fiesta at the best of times. So, and I was trying to get a map in just normal quick play yesterday, but because the Tenerai event was on, I couldn't get a game in normal quick play. I mean, it's just the same problems that we've been having. Content is king, and yes, it's good that we're getting all this stuff. I've got to love playing these game types, but we do need more, and we need more as soon as we can possibly get it. 343 keeps saying, and Joe Staten kept saying that they're worrying about the health of their workers. I get that. But I think sometimes they're using that as a little bit of an excuse. I really do, because you really can't push back against that statement. You can't say, oh, no, just make them work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. No one's saying that. But, I don't know, hire more staff. There's a shortage of staff at 343. They're having trouble filling positions. A lot of people left. That there are problems, systemic problems within the leadership of 343 that need to be fixed, so we can get some content that is flowing, that has a rhythm, and we just haven't got that.
We know they'll get there. They will get there. This is just hangovers from I think what we could call the old 343. Look, they'll get there. They will get there. I do have faith that they will. Just hope, will they get there in time?
If I may build on what Risket said before JediKnightPete spoke, so I don't have a problem with anything they've said in season 2. I understand that it's time for a new season. Yes, I get that. Yes, but what I am upset about is that season 2, which falls in the time frame where we were promised these things would be added to the game that we didn't get at launch, they're not going to be. That is my issue. And I think that Microsoft, they have said that their acquisitions, that they are not going to hardball their acquisitions, and they're going to let their acquisitions do things at their own pace and at their own creative level. That's okay as far as letting them develop what they want to develop, but you still got to have a bottom line, and you still have to have a deadline. And I think they've gone too far with this leniency, and that's why nothing is getting done when it should get done. Mm-hmm. That's the way I feel.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's no way around it.
I think that goes to, and we'll quickly talk about this, the whole Microsoft, we've talked about this before, but I want to get Dirt's opinion and Bob's opinion on this.
I don't want to get too negative, guys, because
at
the end of the day, we are getting new content. You guys are excited for Halo Season 2, aren't you, Risket? Like, I know...
Yeah, look, I'm really excited, but I kind of want to move on to a similar topic, though, something that's happening. We're in a dry season. And look, I am being a little bit negative. We're in a dry season, and I think that Microsoft, what's going on with Halo is indicative of what's happening throughout their studios at the moment. I think they are a little bit too soft on the entirety of their studios, and this goes to Matt Booty and probably goes to Phil Spencer. I mean, we were promised Redfall. We weren't promised Redfall. They announced Redfall for summer of 2022. It's not heard of. It's just not heard of at all. So what's going on in the background there? What's going on with these studios? I understand COVID. Can't use COVID as an excuse forever. You know, where are these games that were promised? Like, where is this flow?
Actually, in this,
Let me say this.
as far as it goes in the United States, you can't use COVID as an excuse at all anymore.
We barely acknowledge that shit ever happened here.
Yeah, Griggity, what do you think's going on at the moment with Xbox?
Well, there's there needs to be a balance, right? They have went on record saying they're giving these studios carte blanche to do what they want to do, and that's cool. But there also needs to be some type of balance to okay, you guys can make what game you want to make, but they also need to babysit it a little bit more, right? Because they have been criticized for being too hands-on with development teams while developing the game. But then again, they've been criticized for being not hands-on enough with developers. So there needs to be a balance, right? And I think they will. I hope they get that. Now, I will say this. Because of all of these studio acquisitions, and unfortunately, there haven't been a lot of games so far. That just goes to show you how bad Xbox, like the situation they were in with first party games. Think about 2018, they announced Ninja Theory, they announced Playground, Undead Labs, and really Bleeding Edge. I mean, out of all those studios they mentioned in 2018, how many has really dropped games, like exclusive games that wasn't multiplats? Not many.
Playground.
In my opinion.
The only one is Arcane, and it dropped for PlayStation. So just crazy. Yeah.
So that just goes to show you how dire their situation was. But they just really didn't have any freaking games in development, man. Right? Like if they didn't get ZeniMax, where would they be right now?
Yeah,
ZeniMax is really holding them up. You know what I mean? Without Starfield, without Redfall, they really don't have anything for ages. Well, I know we're getting Hellblade, but that's taking longer than I thought it would take.
Well, yeah, see, that goes back to what I'm saying. Like, their situation was so dire. All of the, even Psychonauts, I love Psychonauts 2, amazing game, but that game was a multiplat, right? So, but once it gets started, finally, we will see everything will kind of roll out, but yeah, we just have to get there. And right now it's still a struggle. But I'm gonna say this one last point before you guys go. It's still dry, right? The first quarter of 2022 has been dry, but like I said this on my podcast, I did some videos about this. It's a different kind of dry. In 2017, we was like, yo, this is some BS. Xbox, where are the games? Show us something. We didn't know anything, right? This situation is a little different because they have shown us a roadmap. They've shown us Perfect Dark is coming, Fable. They've shown us Hellblade 2. All of these games are on the way. And we even heard about some unannounced games that's being developed, from Compulsion. We heard about the IO Interactive game, all of these games. So the roadmap is helping me personally. I can't speak for you guys, of course. It's helping me personally kind of make it through this dry spell, and hopefully they can get everything together and just make some quality games, and I think they will.
Oh, I think we'll definitely get there. You're absolutely right, and
yeah, I think you're absolutely right there.
What's lacking there is exactly like you said, is a little bit more oversight, I think, and it's a lot for them to handle. They've ramped up so quickly. I would imagine Matt Booty is kind of pulling his hair out, trying to get around to everyone and see what's going on. And like you said, it's going to come. I would just like to see a bit more of a roadmap that gives us a time. Some sort of, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. This is what you get, and this is what's likely to come in 2023. I mean, obviously, it's pretty hard for them to do that. But as we get closer, I would like Microsoft to be like the old Microsoft that we had last year in 2021, where they were just constantly talking to us, telling us what's going on. This year, they've just been dead quiet, man. We haven't heard much. So, Bob, what do you think's going on in the background there?
Well, I mean, what they did, announced like a bomb at the beginning of the year. I mean,
yeah, that is
true. The Activision acquisition. Yeah,
that is true.
I'll
take that on the chin.
So I'm going to give the Xbox Infinite podcast something that I haven't done since the very first episode of our podcast. And ladies, hold on to your panties. All right, listen.
That means I'm just going to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
This is
Oh,
Xbox. This is KY Bob here. I'm letting everybody know out there. Anybody who is concerned about what might be going on behind closed doors at Xbox, it's okay. Hold on. Take Bob's hand. Hold on to it. I will guide you through this. You see, Bob and his fellow community members, they've been through the tough times. We are in the light now, and it just is going to take some time for our developers to realize they're in the light too.
See, that's
It'll
the problem.
get there. I
can't do
promise
that.
you.
See, you guys can do that. For me, that doesn't work. Listen, bitch. Xbox is getting good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I could pull that off as well as you guys could.
You're much more direct.
I think, yeah, it's not.
Listen, bitch.
Yeah. And if
See,
you
me-
disagree,
me,
you
I'd be
get
more like,
kneecapped. Yeah,
listen,
it's not.
I'll
you're
talk to
good.
him
I
slow.
can do that.
Yeah.
I disagree
Yeah,
with you,
gamers.
Riskin. I
Stick
think
by.
that you can use COVID as an excuse. I think that working in a creative industry, creating games in an environment where you're not able to talk to your fellow colleagues and where you have to work from home is incredibly difficult.
Ori.
And I think that
Ori
that's
and the Will
why
of the
this...
Wisps. Ori and the Will of the
Yeah,
Wisps. That's a
that's-
remote studio.
Yeah.
That's a fully remote studio. You've
And those were amazing
this
games.
pandemic.
Amazing.
How long has this pandemic been going on for? 3 years now, right?
And
3 years?
Elden Ring.
It takes a
And
year.
Elden Ring, and
It takes a year to get your
does
shit
say
together.
That certain studios can do it and certain studios can't. Because what Elden Ring, what FromSoft gave us is nothing short of amazing. And the amount of content is that game just blows me away. And how they did it in COVID is amazing. But a lot of that was pre-built. They used a lot of things that were in the previous Dark Souls games. Where we're talking about games like Perfect Dark, Arcane making Redfall. They're brand new games. They're brand new, and so that takes a lot more work. I think that finally, I think COVID isn't going to be an issue anymore. I think everybody's going back to work now. We've heard that a lot of studios are actually, fully back at work. Everybody's in the studio now. So how long it's going to take before we get these games, I'm not too sure. And another point that I wanted to make, this is the first time that Microsoft have had to manage this amount of studios.
Yeah, exactly.
And they
I agree
did
with
say that they wanted the studios to manage themselves. And when it comes to Bethesda, they've been doing it for a while. I think that you can just let Todd Howard
Here's why you buy.
do it how he has been doing it. Eventually, once they get Activision, that's not going to be the case. You're not going to be able to let Bobby Kotick just do what he was doing in the past. That's not going to work.
Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Are you saying that he's not going to be able to feel up the interns? That's just...
Yes.
Time out. We can't. Whoa, whoa.
We're not going to be having any more rape rooms.
Wait, time out. We
Rape room.
can't. Whoa. We can't do that no more.
God damn it. I'm never buying another EA game again. No, look, yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying there, Pete. Like, it is the first time, and Gregory, I think we've all kind of touched on this. It's the first time that Xbox has had this many studios in its history, even the original Xbox. They've never had this many studios to manage, so it's new to them. And the way that I think that they started out managing it was we're going to be hands off, and I think they'll learn as they go on. Like, hey, this studio needs a bit more hands on. And this studio says it doesn't need hands-on, but we know it does. And this studio we can leave alone. I think that that's just going to happen naturally over the course. And yes, these games will come. I'm not being completely negative. I'm not saying that it's terrible. They're handling it terribly. I would like a little bit more communication this year. We haven't had much.
Can I back off that?
Trust me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree with that, Riskin.
Here's the thing. So I 100% agree with you, Risket. I do think ultimate, and I think we're all in agreement. These games, they're going to come. I think they need to come as expeditiously as we're promised, and they do. And it's not just us. We don't know what the hell's going on with God of War, so it's not just us.
I know what's going on with God of War. God of War's coming in Q1 of 2023. I'm telling you right now.
I think so too. Ragnarok is coming. We all want to play it. That game's going to be amazing. No one's taken away from that. The problem is this, and I know this is something Umbra and I have discussed at length, and I completely agree with him. The problem with Xbox, it's difficult to discern whether the issue is top down or down up, right? In terms of the communication amongst the studios and their abilities to deliver. So Microsoft has traditionally, and nobody can deny this, right? This has always been our Achilles heel. We have traditionally, on this side of the aisle, been something akin to a burning dumpster fire full of dog shit in terms of studio management, right? We have. Now, whether that's because we're too much into, salutary neglect, where we're too, we're not hands-on enough. We kind of give them a little too much rope, and they hang themselves. You're looking at things like Platinum Games, is a big one, with that weird dragon fucking whatever the hell that thing was going to be, Final Fantasy, Dragon Age knockoff, or they're too tightly controlled, right? And everything goes to shit. And that's the case with the Initiative, right? And we've discussed this, I take a dimmer view on the Initiative than the rest of you gentlemen. But this is, that's an indictment. And I think one of the critical areas where the Green Team just absolutely needs to get its shit together, because Sony is fantastic at this. Sony manages their studios fantastically. I don't know how they do it, but they're so good at doing it. And we need to emulate that at first, and we need to supersede it in the end. Something needs to change. Now, I agree. There's isolated cases, and I think Pete's 100% correct. Halo, right, for all the faults, at least Halo, we can look at it, and objectively, it seems like a Bonnie Ross problem, right? But if it's a Bonnie Ross problem, there shouldn't be a fucking Bonnie Ross there. There needs to be solutions to these problems. And the issue with that is, in order to have solutions, you need to identify them. And we don't even know if it's top down, if it is Phil Spencer or Satya Nadella or Matt Booty or Sarah, whoever it happens to be, that needs to be course corrected. If it's the studios, right, like the example of the Initiative, right, then that needs to be corrected. The idea that there is some healthy medium, I think, is folly. You need to do it like Sony. There's got to be one expectation going forward. There needs to be communication. I think it is a particular travesty that every time, and this is the worst part about it, and again, it's not just us, gentlemen, but let's be honest, every time you see a game, even a first-party game, we could talk about Redfall. If Redfall was slated out to come out in 2 weeks, all of us would be looking at it right now like, fuck, that's probably coming out in 6 months. And that's just the nature of what's happened. And I think that's particularly egregious. It's disingenuous. There are mitigating factors. We all understand these things. But again, Jedi or Risk It, you're right. You can't use COVID as this sort of cop-out defensive club shield anymore. That's a fucking cop-out. And I think we as consumers and we as gamers, and especially on this, I think we need to be a little more rougher on that. I think excusing failure is not something that
the
as
problem
Xbox
with that,
games.
Jack, the problem with that, Jack, is development of games takes so long that to say that you can't use COVID as an excuse, it doesn't take into account the amount of time that COVID, interrupted them and how long games development actually take. Yes, everything's back to normal now, but for the past 2 years, you haven't been able to collaborate with your colleagues.
Well, here's the thing.
Face-to-face.
Here's the thing. And Pete, you're more in touch with how things work over here than half of us. Here's the thing. I think you're very well aware that this country, where these studios are, was a much easier work environment even during COVID. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, I do. I do.
100%.
Yeah.
So what I 2 years ago, there's leniency. We're getting games now. 2 years ago, there was no release window for Redfall. We didn't get that till months and months ago. COVID was well underway. That game was promised to us at a particular point in time. And if we don't get, I think we need to be a little harsh. There is a degree of understanding. There is a degree of latitude that absolutely has to be extended. Something like Stalker 2. yes, the onset of potentially the Third World War is a very if your
Yeah,
country,
no,
if your
look,
bloc
that's a cop out as well, man.
You're right, Jack.
A little tiny
yeah,
thing,
you know what?
a
Yeah,
little,
they gotta
a
work
little,
through that artillery
a
fire.
little tiny
as
thing,
well.
a little tiny thing like
Yeah.
a war shouldn't stop development of a game.
Exactly.
That's
Right. Look at all those.
Games
Look
like-
at all those great
games like-
Afghan studios putting out great games.
I
You
agree.
know?
I agree with games like Scorn, where they knew exactly what was going on with COVID, and they still gave us a release date. Now they need to hit that
was
release
like-
date.
Would
But
you
other
agree
games
with,
like
God of War said
Perfect Dark.
2021, you know.
yeah, God of
Well,
War.
have they ever given us a release date for Redfall? I'm
Yes,
not
it
actually
is.
sure.
Yeah,
if
they
they have.
summer of
release window-
2022. The release date is summer of 2022, and it still
They have
says
3.5 months to deliver that game.
summer of 2022 on the website.
Yeah.
So that's
I have
what,
checked.
3 to 5 months. Wow,
Yeah.
we haven't heard anything.
And,
Okay, that's a little
we
bit.
all understand that June's going to be a big reveal. Microsoft does a fantastic job with that.
Definitely.
You know, and so we're all very optimistic about that. But even it has not been announced.
Listen-
We're simply going off
Listen, guys,
precedent.
I have to interrupt here. We have to move on to another subject. But Dirt, you were going to say something way back before Jack got started. Did you want to say something? Then we'll move on to another subject.
I don't remember, bro.
It's like that
I just want to
motherfucker.
say,
Jack cut me off, I
anyone
don't
in the
remember.
chat, you guys
Like,
rock,
what did
and
you
if you guys have a
what did you
question,
just say? What
type in
should I
question,
say?
mate.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, look, as Peter saying,
Right.
chat guys in the chat, you guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you for keeping this chat rocking and live. Appreciate it. If you are new here, just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, yeah, like keep chatting. We're listening to you. If you got a question, type question in the chat. Like Pete said, that is an awesome thing. We will answer your questions. We'll move on to the next topic. Xbox must be doing something right because it has stolen 5% of the market share from Sony. This is awesome. When I heard this news, is absolutely pretty stoked for the future of gaming because I think what we were talking about it the other day, Jack. I think Xbox has something like 30%, and Sony had something like 47%. So it's a bit of a steal.
Yeah, it was like 32 and change, if I recall. And one of the guys in the chat, Chani, gotta call you out, my brother, hometown hero, and I discussed this at length. And so we were all playing that night. Me and Hagi, Chani down there, we all talked about it. I think it's fantastic, and I think it's emblematic of a couple of different things. And what I think Chani and I agreed on, right? And we haven't really taken a look at the at least the best of my knowledge, and I haven't, at the analytics in depth. But if Xbox is stealing, well, I don't want to say stealing, earning, I think is fair because it is a very innovative. It has already taken 5% of the market share, right? I think the biggest thing we can attribute that to is Game Pass. Do we all agree on that, gentlemen?
Oh, I'd say services. I would agree with that, but I would say services. The fact that we've got all these exclusives coming, they've announced what is coming. I
The
think
roadmap is big as well.
the roadmap
I
is
agree.
huge,
Yep.
But that is the beauty. But ultimately, a part of that appeal is knowing we're going to get them on Game Pass for $3.99. You know what I mean? So that's still a factor with that, I think, to coin Umbra's favorite phrase. And I agree with it. But I think it's so good, and Shoni and I were talking about it a couple days ago, because Game Pass is an exponential beast, right? It is continually growing by double-digit numbers, right? Which is how you would define mathematically exponential growth. It's fantastic. So I think if you're already taking 5%, when we have the delays, when we don't yet have that Elder Scrolls or that Starfield and that Hellblade, that Gears 6, that Fable, it just bodes so well for how much bigger that number's going to get as time goes on. So I think that 5% now, we can celebrate it. We can celebrate it. Insofar as it being just the 5%. The raw 5%. But I think what a lot of people maybe aren't thinking about is based upon that already with the content out there, with this service continually getting better. I mean, we're seeing Ubisoft games now, these big third-party publishers going to Game Pass.
Absolutely.
It goes back to Risket's point when he said that. You guys go. It's all good. You guys go.
No.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're right. Go ahead, Pete. I want to hear what you're going to say. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes back to Risket's point when he said that Xbox is taking 5%, but and the roadmap was a massive part of that. Them talking to us last year basically got them that 5%, and they have been very quiet. this year, and the reason why they did do so well is by putting out that roadmap. That roadmap was so important because there really wasn't that many games. You know, everyone always said that Xbox only has Forza and Halo, and that's all we got as well last year, but it still was able to eat that 5% and into Sony's market share because of the roadmap they put out, and it's incredibly disappointing that they have stopped that communication. And yeah, I really want them to come back, just like you said, Risket. Incredibly important point that communication was king, mate, and we want that Xbox back.
Yeah, absolutely. Gregory, do you think that the communication's been a little bit lacking, mate? Do you think that's it's probably Game Pass or a combination of things? Like Hargeek Channing said in the chat that the Series S and Game Pass is probably what's bought them that 5% market share. What do you reckon it is, mate?
Absolutely, man. You know, every generation is different. I mean, every generation is different. Word of mouth is something I think is benefiting the Xbox brand this current generation, the Xbox One S and Game Pass. I told a story on my podcast that a friend of mine, he's just a casual. He's a super casual. He plays literally Call of Duty and NBA 2K. That was the only two games he played every year. And he had called me after Xbox announced the acquisition, or the intentions, of the Activision Blizzard acquisition. And he said, "Yo, Dirt, is it true that Xbox has bought Call of Duty?" Because he don't even know Activision Blizzard. He just knew Call of Duty. That's all he knows, Call of Duty. I said, "Well, yeah, man, it is true." And then his second question was, "Does that mean the games are going to be in Game Pass?" And I said, "Most likely." Probably once the deal is finalized. And he's a super casual, so that word of mouth is very powerful. That's a very powerful thing, because if these Xbox Series S's are selling, which they are, word of mouth will kind of go like, look, my cousin has the Xbox Series S. It's actually pretty decent console for the price. I'm going to buy my kids that console. And then when all of this, like you said, the roadmap of the future, actually purchasing ZeniMax, all of that stuff matters and all of that stuff counts. And when people are hearing about these type of things, people are seeing these things. This is what's happening. Every generation is different, man. Just because PS4 dominated don't mean they're going to dominate this generation the same way. Who would have thought with the PS2? All of those consoles they sold, when the PS3 came out, people did, nope, I'm not feeling it.
Yep.
Same thing with
the $1,000 price tag. Yeah,
that damn giant enemy crab did them in.
Exactly, yeah. but like same thing with the Xbox 360. We love the 360, even throughout the Red Rings of Death.
I had
it's God tier. Yeah, I bought 3 of them. It was so great.
I had 7 Red Rings of Death,
but we still loved it.
I never got a Red Ring of Death. I got 3 Xbox 360s, never got one. But yeah, I mean, it does look
had
like
7 of those joints, and sent them all in and get it back, and I got money and everything else. I love Xbox for that.
Yeah,
it does seem like a bit of a trend where Xbox had it in the 360 generation, then PlayStation took over in the PlayStation 4, and now I wouldn't say Xbox is winning this generation, but I definitely think that they're eating into that market share, and they have been more upfront with what's coming. And you're right, Dirt. Not only have we got this roadmap and things like that, and the Series S and things like that are helping, but also that word of mouth, like you said, and the journalism has changed drastically.
Absolutely.
Now, last generation we were just hearing how bad Xbox was. Now the roles have reversed a little bit, and Jim Ryan has put his foot in his mouth more than a couple of times. So he's basically done a bit of a Don Matrick. But what do you think about all this, KY?
I think Dirt was still making a point on it.
I was.
I'm sorry. I was keying up to be after Dirt, so I would appreciate it if Dirt would go ahead and make his point, because he's been waiting.
Well, I was almost finished. The last point I was just going to make is that, like the same thing with the 360 to the Xbox One generation. Xbox has some stumbles, and they never recovered throughout the generation. I mean, they
Yeah.
did some decent things, but they never quite recovered. So they knew their mistakes. They knew what they had to do with the Xbox Series generation, and we're seeing the fruits, right? Now, like you just said, Pete, this doesn't mean they're going to win this generation, but you can see the momentum is shifting slightly, right? You can see there's more interest in the Xbox brand. And like you mentioned, you can see the media is kind of being much nicer to Xbox because it was brutal last generation. And,
was
and like
awful.
some of it, yeah, and like some of it was justified, to be honest with you. Some of it was. So,
I agree.
yeah.
I think you're 100% on that one. I think so. It's interesting. The only thing I actually do disagree with you on is when you said it's shifting slightly. I think the numbers indicate it's shifting pretty friggin' magnanimously. I mean,
That's fair.
yeah, you know, we're looking.
Yeah, but a lot of that has to do with the shortage of PS5s as well.
Sure,
We don't
sure,
know the true numbers because of the chip shortage.
right, but that
Look,
chip
people are buying the Xbox though.
exactly. They're buying.
That's true. Yeah.
Yes, they're
Yeah,
playing on
that's true.
PC. They're in the Game Pass eco. I didn't know what Game Pass was. I heard about it one day, ironically playing PS4, and I was like, booted up my Xbox, my Xbox One, right? And this was like 3 days before I got the Series X, and I was like, I keep seeing ads. I'll check this Game Pass shit out. And Game Pass has, and it is Game Pass has spoiled me. It has fundamentally changed the way I look at video games. I look at video games now, and I'm like, I gotta, like, it's weird. Why am I getting bank charges for video game? Like, what? Why am I paying? What peasants?
So I just wanted to ask Dirt one more question. So that casual friend that only plays NBA 2K 22 and 2 and Call of Duty, does he know about Game Pass? Like,
Absolutely.
do these casuals now know about Game Pass?
Absolutely.
Because we're
Well,
and I think that that will be huge.
Well, of course, I'm gonna be honest. I was the one that told him about it, right? Because I'm a hardcore gamer, and that's my
preach the
homie.
gospel, dude.
Yeah, so I told him about it, and he got it and fell in love with it. But guess what? He told his son. His son told all of his friends. Now, I will sit here and say, because I told him about Xbox Game Pass, at least 15 people that he knows has Xbox Game Pass because of that. And how I know is because we actually play NBA 2K together.
Exactly.
His son's friends, his brother, his nephew, a lot of people in his family are now Xbox Game Pass subscribers because of that word of mouth. And that's just people that I know,
So I find where Game Pass suffers, right, is outside of the Anglosphere, right? So places like America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the United Kingdom. If you are in an English-speaking country, Game Pass thrives. But I was talking. This was about 4 months ago. Talking to a couple of guys in a WhatsApp group that I'm friends with. Two of them were Dutch from the Netherlands. One was an Israeli. One was from Romania. They'd never even heard of Game Pass. This is like 6 months ago. So I start telling, they're PC gamers because a lot of Europeans are like that, right? So they're telling me they're PC gamers, and I'm like, how you playing PC and you don't have Game Pass? They'd never heard of it. All of them now have Game Pass for PC. They love Game Pass. We talk about Game Pass all the time in our group. I have 3 friends directly who I talked to because they wanted to see. They've never seen a Series X or a PS5, right? And so they all came over to my place once, looked at them both, and I gave them the run through. All 3 of them bought Xboxes, and they bought Xbox Series S's. They just bought the S, and I don't even own an S, Right. So it's. I think that word of mouth that Dirt's talking about, and that's a part of this. We're excited for Game Pass. We're excited to help we're excited for other gamers to get games for free, and I think that's the great part about this sheer enthusiasm of this community is going to be enough to carry this console.
And can I say this right quick? There's one more quick point.
Go for it,
Not
brother.
only did the word of mouth is working in Xbox favor this generation, last generation it worked against them.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I knew some people personally that said, Dirt, I'm switching to PS4. They were like, there was this kid. Well, I like to call him my ex-stepson because he really was my ex-stepson. I
Fair enough.
his mom and dad. So he was a hardcore, diehard Xbox 360 kid. And he went to the PS4. He called. I never forget the call. He said, Dirt, I think I'm getting PS4. I said, really? He's like, yeah, man. A lot of my friends are like, it's better and it's more powerful. It's it's less expensive. And that worked against Xbox last generation. So I'm glad to see they have some things that's working for them in their favor this generation.
Absolutely. Bob, you had something to say after Dirt had finished his point. Is Bob there? We'll go to Umbra. Umbra, what do you think?
Yeah, I was here. Sorry. Can you go on to Umbra and then on to me?
Rock and roll. Umbra, how do you think Xbox is pulling in this market share?
Yeah, I mean, we know right now they're gaining Activision. Once that's done, I guess they'll be what? They'll gain 5% on PlayStation. Is that the correct? I believe.
Yeah,
They have
5%.
So far, mate. Yep.
Yeah, so I expect them to come close to even soon enough. I would say in the next few years. I would say
3 to
they'll
5
probably
years.
they'll probably end up even. And a few people speculated, I believe, even who was it that said that? Destin Legary. He said that he thought, and at the time, I think when he said it, it sounded
He's doing his stupid graph, doesn't he? Doesn't he, Umbra?
yeah,
And everyone made fun of him. Yeah.
They did, and I remember him talking about it, and people were like, "What?" They scoffed at him, and the man was like, "I think Xbox might win this generation." He said that flat out, and that was months ago. He said it way back, and people like wrote him off. I mean, a lot of the ponies, of course, came at him and trolled him and tried to dox him and everything else.
Right.
It's crazy, but he spoke that up and said that, and I think he was absolutely correct then, and I think it's showing some more so now. And a lot of the misconceptions are, well, the PlayStation isn't there, so they're getting the Xbox. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but nobody in overwhelming numbers are going to go buy something they don't want to get. I'm not buying a Sony Bravia if I came to get an OLED LG C1. You know what I mean? It's just not happening. I saved up for this LG. That's what I want. So when they say that and they use that line, it's like, it's deceptive. It's like, come on. You know, but no one is not saying, oh, I can't get a PlayStation, so let me settle for an Xbox. That's not how it works in most cases. So I think they'll gain up on them in general, I think. Go ahead, Bob. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I'm a guest, and I believe in giving respect to the panelists of the show I'm a guest on. So I thought it best you should speak. And you did actually hit on some very important points that I would like to touch on. So if you look back, we have to go back 22 years when the Xbox, the original console, dropped. I don't care if you were a diehard PlayStation fanboy then, or whether or not you were still depressed that Sega didn't make a console anymore. You were playing Halo. Everybody was playing Halo, whether you were on a couch on the same screen or you were in a house with 4 consoles linked. That is why the 360 had such a large market share. The PlayStation 3 didn't beat the 360 in sales until we had already changed to the next generation.
Facts.
And so I really feel like the OG gamers out there, I'm not talking about the generation that we're dealing with now, the generation that just wants to be part of a winning team, which is what we're seeing with those guys that hopped on the train when the PS4 was beating the shit out of the Xbox One, which wasn't very hard to do. Yeah, the OG gamers, they went where their friends went, and they went where the enjoyment was. And at the time, it was Halo, and it was 360. And yes, Xbox came out, and they basically, when the one came out, Don Matrick, he KY'd Xbox's own ass, and they got screwed. Yeah, he KY'd Xbox's ass for PlayStation to come out and say, look, this is how you share games on PlayStation.
That was so brutal, bro.
I remember that.
That was horrible.
Yeah, shout out to Don Matrick. Fuck you, bro. I mean,
he's I hear he's hanging out with Nib right now, Rishka. You got anything to say?
I hate that dude. I do not like that guy.
Actually, I heard that Don Matrick is sipping margaritas on the beach with Sean Layden, as a matter of fact.
See,
Well, at least Sean Layden
Sean
earned
was
his
a gamer.
margarita. Yeah, he earned it.
Sean Layden was a gamer.
I respect Sean
This
Layden.
new guy
do
has
too.
absolutely no connection with the gamer whatsoever. He is a businessman.
Yeah.
But back to the topic.
Phil Spencer's a businessman, but you can see Xbox
Nah,
P3
Phil
playing
Spencer's-
all the time.
Phil Spencer's an
Oh, yeah.
ex-developer. He's an ex-developer, and he is a gamer. You can see him on Xbox almost
Yeah,
every
well-
single day. It's probably one of the guys
How
that
much
gets
has been
points.
playing Elden Ring the last
Hey,
3
hey.
weeks?
KY played
Every
with
day he's
Phil
playing it.
Spencer. Bob played with Phil Spencer.
I
Actually.
played with Phil Spencer. Yeah, I've played Rainbow
Yeah,
Six
I've played
Extraction
with
with him.
Phil Spencer. He's not as good. Is not as good as you'd hope he'd be.
He's alright, but he's alright. He's definitely.
I actually felt bad every time I killed Phil.
Yeah, I
Really
would
did.
do it. If
You
I
suck,
came up and
Phil.
I
I'm a
I'd lay
teabag
down
your
my
ass.
weapon.
What if he
I
was
laid
just
out
had
my
your
weapon.
Xbox
I
shut
literally
down
did.
from remotely?
I don't know if he was listening or if he had game chat on or what, but I literally said, "Shit, sorry, Phil." Every time I
What if he just had your shit remotely turned off? Like, hey, turn this shit off.
But like, if you had to kill him in a game, whether it's Halo, Call of Duty, if you see Xbox P3, I just lay down my guns. I can't do it, man.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but
Phil,
as far as Halo Infinite goes, I'm trying to get to level up right now, and I have been since the game released.
I can't shoot him.
So if I have to win a Team Slayer match to get the experience to go up a couple levels, because I've got a double experience,
You'd kill Phil Spencer?
I would. I mean, not only would I kill him, but
You would not
I would
teabag.
kill.
Would not
I would.
teabag.
I would not teabag him. I would kill him, and I would kneel before him in respect. But when he respawned, if it was right in front of me or in my direct view, I'd kill him again.
I can't do it.
Absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
sorry.
Look,
Not me. Not us, Phil. That's KY Bob speaking for
That's
himself.
we love you, Phil.
I'm gonna move on topics.
Spencer, I really do. I love Phil, but I mean, gaming is gaming. I mean, I love all you guys, but if during a community game night, if some of you happen to be on the other team,
Well,
I'm
yeah, we'll
sorry,
kill
the
each
point
other.
of the game is
we're
to
nothing.
win.
Yeah,
We're
but Phil
peons, but that's Phil Maximus. Hold
Yeah.
on, what's the name? Aurelius.
Sony
Spencer
is
is-
Decimatic.
Yes,
Aurelius
Aurelius
Maximus.
Maximus Decimus of PlayStationist. Spencer.
Yeah, I
Only
don't care who you
destructionist.
are. If I'm going up against you, you're going down.
Even Phil Spencer.
Yeah,
That's like-
especially Phil Spencer. I'd actually, I'd pick up my game just to take him down.
Ah, no, dude, that's like pissing on a statue of the Virgin Mary. No, I can't do it, dude.
I definitely do
I
it,
just
man.
I just want to refer to the poll. The poll that
Sorry,
Riskit
instead
put in the
just said
chat.
I teabag my own teammates.
The poll that Riskit put in the chat. I just want to refer to that because that really goes to the very heart and soul of why we all become Xbox gamers. When I became an Xbox gamer because at the time on PlayStation, there were no games where I could sit around and play Halo or Red Faction, and we could literally waste 10 hours on a game and not ever get bored and have so much fun. Xbox brought that to us.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was
And
on couch or on Xbox Live.
Xbox Live, I was
brought-
about to say exactly that. Xbox Live was like opening the world up to each other. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was so great. And man, I mean, we had it on PC till then, but being able to sit on a couch with somebody that you knew, that's why I really want to go out on a limb here and say that real gamers, I'm not talking about people who just want to be part of the winning team, because we've seen through the Xbox One era the people that have stuck with Xbox through the thick and thin. I'm talking about the dealers, the Colts, the Fun Speculations, the Randolph Thors, the Jez Cordons, the ones that have stuck with Xbox thick and thin.
And me, god damn it. Don't you leave
Yeah,
me.
you.
And you risk it. God damn it.
Yeah, guys like me threw grenades at you on PS4. You know, I respect you, risk it. I do.
Those guys stayed the cause, and I want to go out on a limb here and say that Xbox gamers we are the real gamers.
You heard it here
We
first.
call-
You heard it here first.
We
on
call a
Xbox Infinite.
spade a spade. We give criticism where it's deserved.
Yep.
We've even given criticism to Xbox.
Facts.
Remember when Xbox Live wanted to jack the price, and the whole community on Twitter said, "The fuck you talking about, Willis?" And it's
We got on their ass and they
love
changed
that
it
shit.
over. They changed it within hours, not even overnight. It was within
Yeah.
hours.
It wasn't
and
ours.
I even
yeah.
had an individual on Twitter come at me because I was talking bad about 343 and their lack of content, and he was like, "Why are you complaining? Why don't you just go play something else?" And I'm like, I'm complaining because it matters to me, and that's the whole reason why we're not paying $15 a month for just Xbox Live.
That's right.
So yes, I do think that the Xbox One laid a tarnish on the brand, but I can't think of a single instance where Phil Spencer hasn't had our back and hasn't been moving us in the right direction. And if nothing else, by the end of this division, we will be splitting cunt hairs 50-50 between both platforms
What type of hairs?
and market share. Cunt hairs. Both platforms, cunt hairs.
You know, I would go a little bit further than that, Bob. I would say, even with the Xbox One generation, I think we can all agree they made a misstep at the onset, obviously, with Matrick doing what he did with the TV shit. But Xbox, toward the middle and end of the Xbox One generation, they made a solid turnaround. I think we can all agree there. From adding the Xbox One X, which I eventually got, to some of the games, and even the launch games are highly underrated in my honest opinion.
Oh, Rise, and yeah, that was
I still love Rise. I don't care
I mean,
what anybody says.
yeah, it was
Right, so-
yeah, Rise was. I think Rise was
Doofy
still-
asked the question, Risk it.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
wanna get to it as well, mate.
I've been trying to get to it, but I don't want to interrupt anyone on
No,
the
it's fine.
panel.
It's
You're
So,
good, bro.
look,
Your show.
oh,
Your
oh.
show. Run it the way you seem.
I will interrupt and say, Doobie's question is, do you think that they have the season passes hurting the player count, because they're able to progress season 1 and season 3, so on, and FOMO, blah blah blah. That's the best way
that's
to
a
read it.
good question.
It is a good question. But
That is
first,
good.
first, before I answer that question and throw it to the panel, I'm just going to address. I'm going to address something. If you want to 1v1 me,
Steve's comment.
if you want to 1v1 me, Boba, in Battlefield, I will crush you like a paper cup. Moving on. Moving on. No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. And I also don't think that a lot of people know that. Or fuck you, say Steph.
I just saw that
That is
come.
go. That is go. Yeah, look, I also don't think
put your hand
a lot
with
of,
the damn
been
whip.
on fire today, guys.
When you with
Thank
a damn
Yeah,
gimp mask or something
Appreciate
on.
you, mate.
yeah, he's
I-
blocked.
Everyone in the
You
chat,
play
you guys are
Battlefield.
amazing.
He's blocked and removed. Yeah, look, I don't think, Doovie, that it is super affecting it. I think it's the lack of content, mate. Purely the lack of content. I personally even forgot that you could finish your season pass in season 2. I didn't remember that. They did say, and there'd be a lot of casuals that don't know that. So I don't
Yes.
think it's what's holding it back. Content is purely what's holding it back. Panel, what do you think? Fuck you, see, Steph.
Hit me up.
I think you got it right. It's the content.
I think
It's
so,
not.
too.
It's not anything else. The FOMO created from the season passes don't matter because we can do it anytime we want, like they clearly pointed out, which it should be that way for any game. I think going forward, that should be the standard. It's just the lack of content.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Look, I know KY wants to finish his battle pass before he gets to season 2,
Well,
but that's
I know.
purely subjective. He doesn't need to.
But at the same time, so Halo, they really did they took the king's chair to Battle Pass when they did what they did with Halo Infinite, because basically what they're saying is, okay, you pay $10 for this Battle Pass. Basically, what you're doing is you are buying all the content that Battle Pass has to offer, levels 1 through 100, and you're able to finish those requirements at your own pace. I can't think of another game
There isn't one, mate.
with a
There
Battle
isn't one.
Pass. Yeah, there isn't one. I mean, that
There
is
isn't one, and I hope
breaking.
this is a new trend for the industry, because it's fantastic, because you don't have that FOMO, you don't have that, and you don't need to grind, and you don't need to that. Microsoft, when they first brought it out, said they didn't want the Battle Pass to be like your job, and I hope the rest of the industry goes in this direction. I think it's a fantastic initiative by Xbox and 343. And I really hope the rest of the industry picks it up.
And if I wasn't so far into the season, if I was only like 48 or like 52 level, then I really wouldn't care about finishing before season 2. But because I'm so close to finishing season 1 and I'm at level 92 right now, then yeah, it is pushing me to go ahead and get that flame head and get them flame arms and just put season 1 in my rear view so I can focus all on season 2. But I know that I don't have to, but at the same time, it kind of gives me a goal. It's like, okay, well, I've got 12 days to get 8 levels. Can I do it? It really adds a whole new dimension to stuff I've literally already paid for. I just have to finish, but I'm making myself want to do it because when season 2 starts, I want to start out on season 2 with everybody else and not worry about what's in the past because I've already finished it. It's really an awesome feeling, the freedom 343 has given us with the Battle Pass.
But if you
Halo.
don't do it, you still get the value, which is absolutely awesome and a great move by 343. And like Pete said, I think that it's definitely something that should be adopted within the industry. I'm gonna have to move on. We've been on Halo for quite a bit. One thing I definitely wanted to talk about, we touched on earlier on, and then we will be winding up after Put This On Your Radar, which is a bit of actually a really good Put This On Your Radar this week, so stay tuned for that. If you have just joined us, hit the like button. If you are new here, subscribe, share it out, tell a friend, tell your grandma. My grandma's actually 100 years old, and I'm going to go see her, drink beers, and wind her up after this podcast.
Grandmas are great.
God of War. Now, Corey Barlog released a video talking about God of War. Now, as Pete said earlier in the week, he's not actually involved with the development of God of War. He would have some fingers in that pie, I do think. Now, he spoke on 2018 God of War and how it was the anniversary, and thanked the community for such a great response to God of War 2018, which is my personal game of all time. Even though I'm an Xbot, God of War is just one of those games that's extremely special, I think. Now, he did mention God of War Ragnarok. And what he didn't mention was a release date. And what he said was they don't have anything to show. Now, we had a pretty decent discussion about this earlier in the week that went on for a fair bit of time. And my conclusion, I won't speak for the panel, my conclusion is this game is definitely not coming until 2023. If you don't have anything to show now, then they're having troubles in the background. And I know they're having troubles in the background because I've heard a couple of things. And one of the things I've heard is that it's hectic over there right now and things aren't going the way that they should. And I also saw something on Twitter that also corroborates what I've heard. And she said, I won't pull out her name, but she said, I've been working from home for over 2 years now, back in the Santa Monica office once again to work on something super exciting for God of War Ragnarok, which means they're only just pulling themselves back into the office now. So I definitely think they're at a stage where they're starting to put the polish on, but throwing that polish down onto a game like this, and a game of this size, the reported size of it, that's going to take you some time. You look at that's at least 6 months. at least 6 months.
Agreed, 100%.
And I'll also throw out there is in recent times, the only 2 games that have released for PlayStation in Q4 were Spider-Man and its corresponding DLC, Miles Morales. So I just can't see this game being released before Q1 2023. Dirt, what do you think? You think we're going to see God of War this year? You think they're going to put it up against Starfield? Or do you think that we're going to see it next year?
You know, you made a great point. PlayStation usually don't really drop their first-party games in holiday, with the exception of Spider-Man. I believe in 2018 was what, September?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it was autumn. Yeah.
Miles Morales.
Yep.
Yes. So they definitely don't drop their games in November or nothing. Now, if you go by the past 2 years, Sony's big showcase, their PlayStation showcase, was in September. So if they don't announce it's like the date this summer, I can't see it dropping this year. So you might have a great point there. I mean, it's definitely possible we could still drop this year, but I just don't see it because it's not dropping in November or December. And October, I guess, could be a possibility, or September. But so, yeah, I'm not sure, man. But I'm going to go with you. I kind of agree with what you're saying. I don't think it's going to drop this year. First quarter 2023, because that's usually where, that God of War drops.
True.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to point out something, by the way. I'm going to let somebody else go before me, but I just want to point out that
No,
this
you go.
podcast-
You go. I want to hear what you say.
Yeah, go for it, Umbra.
You go.
this podcast, if you all remember, those who were with us back then, when we had the lovely Rose here on our show, she revealed that she had a little inside contact and inside information where she revealed to us way back on, what was it, episode 2 of this podcast?
It was my
like
first
2-3.
episode. Yeah.
She told us and revealed that the game would be delayed until 2023. We didn't all believe her then. We were like skeptical, but more and more it's looking like she was exactly right from what the information she was told.
And I will say, just to add before anyone else goes, that I had spoken to Rose after the show, but the other source that I briefly spoke to, and they were very cagey and wouldn't give out very much information, but from what I could ascertain, and making a couple of assumptions, it is chaotic over there, and not going well still. So, but
Can I ask a
she
question?
wouldn't say much more than that. Yeah, far away.
Here's it. So I saw a very different thing with the Balrog interview, and I interpreted it very differently. And I want to ask both the panel and the guests, perhaps, if maybe I'm just being a little pessimistic, or if you think I'm right. And I think so. It's interesting if you watch that Balrog interview, right? Well, you come into it armed with the knowledge that he is at least developmentally disconnected for the most part from the game, right? We understand this. That's been made eminently clear. But what he said was they don't, or they have so much to show us, but they can't show us. It almost looked, it looked like he was softening the blow. It felt like a little bit of damage control to me. I watched it, and nobody has more respect for Cory Barlog than all of us. We can't speak highly enough about the gentleman. It did, though. However, it came off as a sort of like they were preparing you for the inevitable hammer drop, and that's what I walked away with it. And I know that conflicts a little bit with what Bruno Velasquez is saying today, but between Cory Barlog and Bruno Velasquez, I think the profile of Cory Barlog obviously would be intimately connected with the inside how the game was progressing, and I think that lines up very well with the narrative that Rose was saying. No one's saying it's a dumpster fire or a shit show, but it does seem to be behind schedule. So did you guys also watch that interview and maybe walk away with a little bit of the same sentiment I did?
Yes. I agree completely with you, Jack. That interview, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say 90% of that interview was dumpster fire control.
It just felt foreboding. You know what I mean?
And
yeah,
interestingly,
it did.
It interestingly came out after the whole DLC debacle conversation. And you'd be
Well, what do
crazy
you
not
think?
you'd be crazy not to think it hit their radar. Sorry, Bob, you keep going. I just wanted to throw that in there.
No, I mean, yeah. I am completely. I know throughout this podcast, me and Jack have had differing views on, but this one, I'm right there. Don't take this the wrong way, Jack. I'm right there in bed with you, bro.
I know we. No, you're not. No, you're not. For the audience, no, he's not. There's so many better analogies. Now that you could have chosen.
I totally see what he's saying. Yes, Corey Balog, he was dancing around the fact that he knew in his head the community was going to target on, and he didn't bring it up, and he danced around it thinking that he could kind of parlay it and it didn't work. I mean, everybody saw right. I know those of us like me and Jack, we saw right through it, and I think he's trying to control. He kind of gave that intuition or that feeling that he was trying to control something before it happened.
That's what I
saw.
Away.
Yeah, he saw it coming.
Umbra, I know we talked about it a little. I think because I agree with you.
We talked about it as well, Jack. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, mate.
Yeah.
I thought they brought him out there as damage control early before the bad news comes. Corey really doesn't have anything to do with this project. I don't know why they brought him out. I know there was a little bit of pushback after they showed the last director, and people were asking if Corey had anything to do with this project. The fact of the matter is he doesn't. He's doing another project.
As I said before, I think it's a matter of, it's definitely damage control to a degree, at least to calm down people who have been questioning with, where's footage.
Yeah.
But I think I wouldn't say he had no input on the game. Like even Risk pointed out earlier, it's very clearly they had it more from a DLC to a game it is now. So they got input from him for sure.
Yes.
So I don't know how much he's put into it because we know he's working on another game, but they put in something. So, but absolutely they use him as the front man because he's basically the head guy of that studio. So it only makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've listed him as executive producer or something like that. But in terms of him having direct input on the game, I don't think he has. They've basically he's basically stayed out of anything to do with God of War 2 to allow fresh blood and new eyes to be on the project, where he also has complete control over the other thing that is unmentioned that the studio is working on that I'm really interested in seeing, to be honest.
Yeah, look, he would definitely have input. I mean, you're talking about the guy who reinvented the God of War franchise and was extremely successful at doing so. So, to think he doesn't have any input is probably folly. But we don't know how much, so we could speculate.
I mean, he's on the payroll.
But they're obviously going to stick the guy out front because he's the guy that everyone trusts, right? He's the guy that made God of War 2018. There's one more thing I wanted to talk about before we move on to our final Put This On Your Radar. And I'm going to skip over the TV show this week at Halo. We normally talk about that, but I will skip over it. I'm short on time. Don't forget my Nan's 100, so her time's limited. Could be any minute now. So if you just go in the chat,
that was morbid.
hit the like, hit the share, subscribe, and Logical, brother, if you're out there, you're definitely not blocked, man. I don't know what's going on there, but I'll have a chat with you later on. I've sent you a message, brother. Star Wars. Now, I don't think that this hit everyone's radar, but Amy Hennig back in, I believe it was 2016, was working on a Star Wars game back then. And they did release a small trailer of what she was working on, and that was over at EA. And I was super excited and absolutely crushed when they closed Visceral. I love Visceral. Visceral made Dead Space, and then making a Star Wars game was like my bread and butter, man. I was extremely excited about that game. When they shut it down, I was devastated. But she's back on another Star Wars game. She's back on another Star Wars game.
I'm
Bob.
excited.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Yeah, awesome.
She's such a visionary.
I was just pulling Star Wars out of the file cabinet. Okay, got it. Go.
Yeah, I mean, I wish that we saw that that game that they were working on at Visceral, the team that made Dead Space with Amy Hennig at the lead. It was basically meant to be an Uncharted meets Star Wars. I think it would have been an amazing game. Incredibly disappointing that we never got to see it. EA destroyed Visceral Games. They were a great studio. Dead Space was an absolutely amazing franchise they just had way too higher expectations on the amount of sales that a horror genre would have gotten, and then they pushed them to change and make it more action driven and made it co-op focused and added microtransactions into Dead Space 3, which basically destroyed the franchise, and then EA got rid of the studio altogether. It was when EA was just devouring studios at that time. And incredibly
Peter.
disappointing.
Stop it, Peter. You're making me cry again. I hate what they did to my franchise, Dead Space.
Yeah, look,
I mean,
hopefully the remake
stop it.
is gonna be everything that we wanted Dead Space 3 to be, really. And I'm glad that they are going back to it, because it's their fault that the franchise died. You know, what they did to it is unforgivable. In saying that, Star Wars, Amy Hennig, you know, behind, you know, Uncharted, yeah, can't wait. You know, she is a visionary. Her games always do really, really well, and her having input into the Star Wars universe, yeah, I think it's gonna be a win-win.
She's so. I mean, if you off the top of my head, I mean, look at who she's worked with. I mean, she started in Umbra will remember this, because you know it's his native bricks. Remember Michael Jordan? I think the Chaos in the Witty City. That was in the mid-90s.
Sure
And that was yeah. I mean, she's worked at Crystal Dynamics, where she did what was it? The first Legacy of Kain. She moved to Eidos, you know, and did the second one. She did Soul Reaver. She did the third Legacy of Kain.
One of my favorite games of all time.
She was the game director on Jak 3 Uncharted. I think it was the first Uncharted, the second one, the third one, and whatever that PS Vita one was.
I think I'm in love with this woman now.
She just,
She's a legend for sure.
I do.
Yeah,
I think Amy Hennig is one of the great. I mean, because she's done it all. She's been a game director. She's been consultant. She's been the narrative lead. I think she's such a great force in the industry. Personally, I cannot wait to see which. I've been a fan of hers for a very long time. I think anything she touches over the last, I mean, since the 90s, almost 30 years, I mean, it turns into gold. She's great. So I'm very excited for this game. I don't think they could have picked a better person to lead the helm. I'm 100% with you guys on this one. And I know, Pete, you and me, the big Star Wars guys, like, this is going to hit. And I can't wait to play it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, look, the Star Wars IP has been opened up to a lot of developers. We've got Ubisoft making a game. We've got Amy Hennig making a game. We've got the guys that made Detroit Becoming Human making a game. So, yeah, Star Wars is opened up to everybody. And I'd love to see different takes on the franchise. Look what Respawn did with Fallen Order. I mean, that game is amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. It's everything you want out of a Star Wars game.
110. Greg, are you excited for this Star Wars game? Did you know that Amy Hennig had worked on that game previously?
Yeah, I read about it, but I'm not a big Star Wars guy. I can care less.
Ooh.
Get out of here.
Go with your band.
Never come back.
I'm just being honest. No, I did like the
Hey, you all right, brother?
Jedi Fallen Order game, but there's just too many Star Wars games in development. I can care less, bro. Just being
There's
honest.
never too many Star Wars games in development, mate.
One of them's going to hit, right? One of them's going to
Thank you,
hit.
Pete.
I'm not confident all of these games are going to hit, but one of them's going to hit, right? And if it's going to be Jedi Fallen Order 2, like, so be it. But I want an open world, like Assassin's Creed style type RPG. That would be just a bit.
Yeah, like a KOTOR.
Who doesn't want to cut arms off with lightsabers, man? Come on.
Oh, you're sounding like a pony now.
You just want a KOTOR 3, right? You're talking about like
Action.
a KOTOR 3?
Action adventure over the shoulder. That's all I want. I want to be sad. I'm a dad. Let's
You
do this.
pony. You pony.
All right, we're going to wrap the show up. I'm just going to hit this last segment, which is a little segment we do is put this on your radar. And this week we are talking about Scorn. Just through the week of the magical screen change.
Beautiful build up, mate. That was amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
I need to get some sound effects instead of making them with my mouth. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, they released an 8-minute gameplay, which is looks absolutely solid, man. I can't say that this is like my top of the list. Can't wait to see it type game. But it looks pretty fucking interesting. And HR Geiger is the guy who designed all the set pieces for Alien. And this is a HR Geiger inspired game. And it looks creepy as shit. Like, really creepy. So look, I'm not super excited. It's not a Star Wars level for me. But Griggity, are you excited for this one?
Brittany ain't excited.
No, I'm excited for certain things. This game,
Let me
I
think about
guess I
that.
just need to see more of it. It look really weird. I don't know, man. I got to see more of it, so I can't say I'm excited yet.
It's Dead Space. You're gonna be in Dead Space. Everyone.
I love Dead Space.
It's got
But you said Scorn, right? You said Scorn, right?
Yeah, it's Dead Space kind of feel, though, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, bro. This first person Dead Space is 30. Yeah, I'm more of a Dead. I love Dead Space, but this one, I just need to see.
It looks like a penis shooter.
Yeah,
No.
leaking. I don't know about this one, bro.
Okay, Bob is a big. If any of y'all out there know Wilmy Hood, I'm sure everybody does. Me and him have like the exact same love for horror games, and when I saw Scorn,
I'm with you.
I give it to me. Yes, please. I want that.
That's
It
what she
gave me
said.
that. It gave me, yeah. Yes, she did. Especially when I broke out that lube.
Oh, no.
But when I saw that, it gave me that Doom, yet Dead Space, yet Silent Hill, yet if you ever seen the Ring movie when it gave you the chills when the girl was coming down the steps upside down. I mean, that really tweaked my melon, and for a horror fan to say it tweaked his melon, that is
Sorry, KY,
positive.
Can you turn off the game audio, mate?
My
Huggy's
bad.
telling you to turn off the game audio, mate.
My bad, Huggy. Sorry, mate. Keep going, KY. KY, just some audio issues.
Sorry, KY. Sorry to interrupt you, mate.
Oh, that's okay. I wasn't even aware it was. I was in my groove. I wasn't even aware of it. Yeah, but Scorn, I was really looking forward to it when it first was supposed to reach us, because
6 months ago.
I'm watching the video right now on screen and I'm in love with it. I love the organic feel of the level and the way everything is related to like it's an organism. It's wow.
Orgasm. There is definitely some shit that looks like an orgasm on screen. Though I will go with maybe
Orgasm.
It's a penis shooter.
Yes.
There's definitely some stuff on there.
Yes,
You
it's
Yeah,
like
well,
wow.
look, I mean, it's designed by the guy, but like with the influences, the guy that made Aliens and Predator. I'm not sure, I forget what his name is, but the guy puts penises and vaginas basically everywhere. I mean, that's basically what it does. Everything's either a penis or a vagina, or
Exactly.
an inverted penis,
Some
or an
organ.
inverted vagina. Yeah,
Well,
yeah. Which is why it looks so disturbing to everybody.
and moist. It looks very moist. He's got a very moist art style.
Moist, yes,
Yeah.
moist. That's
With the-
another word that
You want
really
to dry a
hits
woman
home
up?
with the
You
crowd.
want to dry a woman up? That's the fastest way to do it. Is say
With
moist.
the amount of with the amount of orifices, KY, you need it in that game, man. You got to be playing that game.
Well,
Yeah, it's
I
made
mean,
for you.
To be,
Kentucky Bob. That's nothing
to
to do
be
with
completely
that.
honest with you, it only
People.
gets them that way
dirty
when you say it
minds.
this way. So when you say, "I'm gonna get you moist,"
Yeah, but when you say it,
Yeah, that'll dry them right
get
on
them
up.
there.
no, I
Yeah, that'll dry them right on up, KY.
when you say it that way,
It dried me
I
up.
wanna keep-
It just dried me straight up. I'm telling you right now.
yeah, like that, I'm keeping you 500 meters from a school zone. Yeah,
All right, look, I'm gonna switch back to the podcast. Give me 2 seconds.
All right, go.
I think it looks good. It's a very interesting. I don't know. I think Pete and I talked about it a little. We call it like biopunk horror, is what Pete and I know Umbra and I have kind of discussed it a little bit too. I don't think you and I have risked it. It looks interesting. You're looking at the guy, behind all of the aesthetics, but he did a lot more. It's creepy. It's all about this weird bioorganic hellscape, like if Dead Space was set in Caelid, So it's I like
Nice.
that's the closest thing I can think of it, and I really like it. I like the fact that we're looking at this trailer and it's just visually and mentally jarring. I like that that's the effect it's already having on us, and I
What
think
I like is it's so different, Jack.
Yeah.
And
It's
you know
fresh.
what, mate? It's Game Pass.
Yeah,
you
I'm not
try
paying
it for free. Exactly.
for it.
Yeah.
so
So good.
And what?
yeah,
how
I'm
many
amazing
penises and
third-party
vaginas do you get to
initiative.
try for free? Like, so it's fantastic.
Right. You get 'em
Right
all.
on. Right on.
Right, so let's wrap up the show on that note. So Griggity man, thank you for coming along. Your takes have been absolutely awesome. It's fantastic to have you here, man, and we appreciate you gracing us with your presence. Please let the people know where they can find you, about your podcasts and what you're up to coming up, what games you played, etc.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the invite. Check out Dirt Griggity. That's my YouTube channel. I do videos. I have a podcast on Monday evenings, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Called WBZ Xbox Podcast. It's definitely messy. We talk a lot of trash about PlayStation fanboys, and we just have a good old time. So but we try to keep it entertaining. So stop by and say what's up. And that's about it, man. I'm like, as far as playing games, I'm stuck in the, I don't know what you call it. I just finished Dying Light 2, and I want to start something else, but I don't know what to start. If you know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
I
kind
felt
of
that
want
way after Elden Ring.
Far Cry 6. Finish
I
it.
finished that last year, bro.
You know what? Maybe go to
Okay, what about
something
the three?
smaller.
The 3 DLCs. They are all unique and very exciting.
That's the
Yeah, no, I
forbidden
haven't
word.
done the DLCs, but I did the free one with what was the guy name?
Voss?
No. I haven't done the bosses. I kind of didn't want to do that. After I finished the game, I was kind of done with it.
Dirt,
So,
have you tried Tunic?
Yeah, I have. I haven't finished that one. It's kind of challenging.
I need to go back
It's
to
also
it.
Weird West, mate. Weird West is on Game Pass. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I played it.
uh,
I played it.
I
I
Tiny
finished Guardians of
Tina.
the Galaxy last year. I think I'm going to go to Cyberpunk for some reason. I'm going to.
Oh,
go
that's
there.
it's good. You'll enjoy
Yeah,
it.
Dude,
you'll enjoy it,
I
mate.
think I'm going to go to Cyberpunk.
Totally.
Now that
Yeah,
the update's
do it.
not coming till God knows when, you might as well just do it now. It's a great game.
Yeah. I'm going to go to Cyberpunk next. That's the game. That or like the Dark Picture series, the Man of Medan.
Oh,
and
the
other ones.
anthology.
I've seen those.
Yeah,
the Dan,
I own
Those are
all of them.
great.
I
Yep.
haven't really played
I
them.
love them.
Yeah, I might go to that too. So
That's
yeah,
a good
about it,
choice.
All right, fantastic. Well, as I said, man, thank you for coming on the show. KY Bob, as well, thank you for gracing us with your presence, man, and we're looking forward to your podcast kicking off soon, hopefully the next couple of weeks. Just let people know where they can find you when it does kick off, what you're up to, what you're playing, how they can find you on Twitter, etc., etc.
Yes. First off, I think very highly of everybody on this show, and I just wanted to extend a gracious thanks for really out of the blue. I mean, yes, I had JediKnightPete on as a guest, and then when he was adamant about having me as a guest, I really did feel honored because I really feel like your channel it's pure in the community as far as what you're trying to do and what you're trying to give back. And I really did feel honored to be asked on as a guest, and I was glad to be here. Unfortunately, me being here is on the same day that I happen to break ties with the affiliate that I've been with for the last 20 episodes. But I would like to let everybody know that I believe not next Thursday, but the Thursday after. I believe it's May 5th. If that's May 5th, Thursday, me and Powerman 4K will be starting our own show called Game Set Live, and we're dead set upon carrying this moniker. If you've seen the tweet that I just put out a couple hours ago of the flames in the background and the words Game Set Live in flames, that's what we're bringing. We are not bringing forward a platform branding to our channel. We are going to give the criticism where it is deserved, and we are going to give the praise where it is deserved. And if you're wrong, we're going to bring those flames down upon you. And that is the purpose behind the flames in the branding, because we want to stand for the Xbox gamer that is level-headed and really speaks out against what they are upset with in the gaming landscape, and not side with the console they play on the most. So we're going to try and stay as middle field as possible.
Neutral.
Yes,
in the land of the
we
neutrals.
really want to. Gaming is a large space, and we all understand. I think that most of us here, we have a PlayStation for those bangers, but we don't communicate on our PlayStations. We may play those bangers on our PlayStation, but as far as party chat and community involvement, we are all doing that through Xbox, and we're going to emphasize that. And I know that we're going to be a very infant channel and not have a very high viewership, but me and Power, we really want to try and change the culture.
Yeah, look, it's not about viewership when it comes to podcasts and channels, man. To me personally, I'm not doing it to gain for any, monetary thing or bring in a shitload of viewers. If people like it, they like it. If they don't like it, well, that's all good. But I'm just doing it because, like you said, want to give back to the community and want to be part of the community.
Enjoy talking gaming with you know.
Yeah.
We do it all the time over party chats anyway, and if we can give back to the community in a small way.
Yeah. And the community doesn't know we're about to start an Xbox Infinite OnlyFans. We're working on it right now. So,
oh my God!
As that develops,
Absolutely, the link's in my Twitter. I'm going to call it butts and beards, man. And the beard isn't always going to be on the face.
We're going to be
taking on Master Cheeks.
Yeah, we're going to be specializing in beard play and Master Cheeks role playing. So we'll get that, dude.
And hairy feet, as much hairy feet as we can fit on the.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yeah. Nothing sexier than the shy.
You got to be excited about hairy feet.
To finalize on my outro, it will be on KY Bob's YouTube channel, which is already carrying the moniker Game Set Live on the home screen. And I don't know. I mean, we expect everybody that we've made networking and friendships with over the past year to be there, because it really does mean a lot to us doing this independent thing for the first time. And thank you all for your support.
Fantastic.
And I hope to see you all there on May 5th.
We'll be there. That link is in the description. So if you want to head over there and just hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the kickoff for KY's show. Okay, we'll just go to the panel very, very quickly because my 100-year-old Nan probably doesn't have much time left. JediKnightPete, thank you for coming this week and locking it down. Your takes are always fantastic. And thank you for all the help you do in the background. Just let people know where they can find you, what you're up to, what you're playing.
Yeah, look, I think 3 different people are having community game nights Saturday night, American time. Don't know which one I'll be joining, but I'll be joining in on one of them. Other than that, I just want to finish off Elden Ring before Season 2 of Halo starts. KY, I wanted to thank you personally again on my show for inviting me onto your show. I had a great time, mate. I really did. And yeah, I'm so glad that you came back and did our show. We love your takes, mate. Dirt, it's the first time I've met you, mate. Absolutely love talking gaming with you, brother. Loved your takes. I agree with you on pretty much everything, mate. So we are very like-minded.
Thank you.
Risk it. I know you've done a lot of work this week in the background. You've put a new song. You've added Jack's name in. You've got a new banner. All the work you do in the background, mate. Nobody sees it, but we all appreciate it. And Umbra and Jack, I mean, yeah, every week you guys just bring such great takes, and I just love talking gaming with you guys. To everyone else in the community, in chat, you guys were on fire today. I want to see Boba and its Steph taking on Risket with shock rifles at sunset. I am there. That would be awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, you guys. I really can't say how much I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Jack, thank you every week. Coming back. Where can we find you? What are you up to?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at the Jack Astronaut, and that's the only place you can find me on this watch list. So if you're on Twitter, feel free. I don't really have any standards. I'll follow you. But yeah, no. And again, panel guys, great. It's so great being on the show. You guys, you're awesome. I love your podcast, that WBL. It's great. And obviously Bob, I love playing Xbox with you. It's so good to have you on and get your takes on everything. We wish you all the best in your new endeavors. We're going to be there to support you. And, just to the channel, I say it every week, and I mean it every week. Normally, when I say things repeatedly, eventually it becomes bullshit. But in this case, it's not true. You mean the world to the guys. You mean the world to me. And you make all of this worth it, especially when I see such a familiar, crowd of guys and guys I interact with. It's nice to see you. This week, I'm going to be playing Outriders with Umbra pretty shortly. Be playing some Halo, some of the Arkham collection, and can't wait to see you guys next week. Just want to thank you all. God bless. And we'll catch up with you later.
Fantastic. Umbra, I'll take it to you for the outro. Thank you for everything you do for the podcast, turning up every week. I'll kick it to you for your outro, and then if we can kick it back to Dirk Griggity for the close of the show, rock and roll.
Yeah, man, it was a good show. I'm really grateful for you coming through, Dirt. Appreciate it, brother. I know we had you scheduled at one point, and we had a delay because of a little internet issue some time back, and we had, but grateful that you came and graced us. KY, thanks. Nice to actually speak with you as well, and grateful for you to come on too, brother. Of course, to the
Dude,
panel
it was
mates.
awesome. It was
we enjoyed
seriously
you all.
the best moment I've had in a couple weeks.
We often have that impact on people. Yes, it's true. No, seriously though, but yeah, thanks to my panel mates as well, and Riska, you being a host as well, doing a great job, brother. And I hope we just continue to keep growing. And thank you everybody in the audience in the chat who continuously come through and supports us. We really appreciate it. So I just want to kick it to Dirt. I like Jack already said what we're going to be doing, so there's no need for me to do it. You know where to find me on Twitter. So let me kick it over to Dirt and close it out, and see you guys later.
All right, everybody, we're about to go ahead and get out of here. So do me a favor. If you like the podcast, hit that like button. And if you happen to stumble upon this podcast, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. All right, y'all, we're about to get our black asses out of here. Peace and love. Peace.